Athletic poll. And just, I want to believe that this poll matters because it is from the players, but also at the same time, it's kind of a full of shit poll, also. You know, I think that in some ways, the poll is influenced by general perceptions about like a team like the Raptors, like teams, a lot of the players do buy into the golden boy system of the NBA. Like they really do try and buy into some of the golden teams or players around the league, and they try and hold that status quo. So I don't totally believe in this poll. First of all, there's 300 plus players in the NBA. They only questioned half of them for this poll. And there's no telling whether the Athletic actually interviewed or gave the poll to any of the Toronto Raptors. And that could have a real impact on how the poll goes. You know what I'm saying? Like if you exclude a team completely from the Athletic player poll, that's not a fair and balanced poll. Now, it could be very likely that they did give the poll to a few of the Raptors. And some of our members did get to fill it out. Who knows? I don't know for sure. There's nothing scientific about it. It's unofficial. And I've also heard that the way they administer this poll is that particular athletic reporters during the whole entire course of the season ask different players these questions in arbitrary ways, just casually as time goes on. That could change the answers to the poll real easy by the context of the conversations or where their mindsets are, and even the time of the year. Why the hell are you going to ask somebody who should be MVP in November or December? So I don't feel like the Athletics player poll is a scientific poll in any kind of way. It really is a silly poll in some ways. In some ways, it's been utilized to uphold certain kind of perceptions. It's interesting to an extent that, well, is this really the unfiltered beliefs of players in this league? Yeah, maybe there is some truth to it. It changes year to year, and different people say different things and stuff, So I don't know what to believe with it. In some ways, I feel like it's full of shit, but also in some ways, it's like you cannot deny these are answers coming from the actual players. So the Raptors were not really involved in the Athletic player poll very much this year. We've had a lot of answers where we were answered in past years, but not this year. We were left out in a lot of ways. And one of the main categories is best and worst organizations. Now, normally we're in the best organizations poll, but we're not this year. There's a lot of other teams that got voted the best organization above us, and Warriors were number one. But teams like Miami, San Antonio, the Lakers, Boston, they're like the top five. And the Raptors didn't even get a single vote for best organization. So in some ways, and I know that I don't think that players are allowed to vote for their own team. So who knows? Who knows who voted or what? And, there may be a kind of a discrimination against voting for the Canadian team in some ways by players in general. But yeah, we didn't get a single vote for best organization. But on the flip side, we didn't get a single vote for worst organization either. So, and the worst organization voted by the players was Charlotte Hornets. So it's like, okay, we're not getting votes either way for organization. Now, coach, we did get votes for worst coach, but I don't get that. I feel like, that's ignorance too. And maybe just people not understanding who Darko is, but he was 7th in the worst coach poll. But according to Toronto Sun, you would have think he was the worst coach in the league by their headline, their bullshit. But yeah, Nick Nurse, worse coach than him by the players. The players voted Nick Nurse more worse coach than Darko. They voted Tom Thibodeau of the Knicks, who's in the playoffs right now, as a worse coach than Darko Rajakovic. So it's all in context. Brian Keefe, the worst coach in the league, according to the players. Washington Wizards interim coach turned full head time coach. So it's a kind of a goofy poll. The couple of other players, the only players that got mentioned in the polls at all for the Raptors were Scotty and Yak. And Scotty was on a couple of polls, but only got like one vote. Like he wasn't on the poll with the bars. Like one of the questions was, who's going to be the face of the NBA in the future? And Scotty got a vote for that. Somebody in the league thinks that Scotty might be the face of the league in the next couple of years. And it's a player. It's not Darko. And it's not a Raptor. It's somebody from another team that sees him that way. So that's interesting to me. Of course, Victor won that poll by a landslide. Number one probable face of the league, Victor Wembanyama. Second, Anthony Edwards. Third, SGA. And that's interesting to me. Scotty was also on the poll for most overrated. Yeah, he got one vote, though. And this is the one I want to talk about today, really. Jakob got a vote for most underrated, though. Jakob was on the poll for most underrated. There's somebody out there that recognizes Jakob Poeltl as an underrated player, and they put him in the player poll as the most underrated player in the league. So I thought that was pretty cool. Scotty did get a vote from one of the most overrated players in the league. Last year, the players voted Pascal Siakam as the most overrated player in the athletic player poll, but he's not this year. But a teammate of his is the most overrated player this year by the players, and that is Tyrese Halliburton. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Halliburton had a really bad year this year statistically. He had a down year, and, the NBA overhypes him as a golden boy, and he doesn't really carry that weight very well right now. But it's interesting to see that Siakam didn't get a single damn vote about being overrated this year. That all of a sudden, with a full year of Indiana Pacers down, that all of a sudden people are saying, whoa, now this guy's really good, and he's not overrated. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting, the overrated poll. Tyrese Halliburton, 14% of the players polled said he was the most overrated. Rudy Gobert, second. Trae Young, third. Jimmy Butler, fourth. Bradley Beal, Draymond Green, John Morant, and Julius Randle, all next. Joel Embiid, also on the overrated list. Giannis, Dylan Brooks, Paul George, Tyler Hero, Drew Holiday, Jaren Jackson Jr., LeBron James, Kyle Kuzma, Domantas Sabonis, and Zion Williamson are all on this list as most overrated. Scotty getting a single vote on there. But other people that got a single vote too are people like LaMelo Ball, Josh Giddey, Evan Mobley, Franz Wagner, Jason Tatum, Chris Paul, Donovan Mitchell, Zach LaVine, Jock Landale, Anthony Edwards, Anthony Davis, Jaylen Brown, Devin Booker. Yeah, so Scotty's in good company there for getting one vote for being the most overrated player in the league. I wonder who voted him that. Maybe it was somebody like DeAndre Ayton or Quentin Grimes. Something like that. But Siakam is not the most overrated player this year. His teammate Tyrese Halliburton is. That makes sense. Is it something to say about the Pacers organization that 2 years in a row a Pacer has been voted the most overrated player in the NBA by the players? That maybe people think the Pacers are overrated as an organization? I don't know. They get a lot of disrespect. That team is actually a pretty good team, and in some ways, I like them because in some ways they're not an NBA darling golden boy team, and the NBA, but still they're important because they're part of the history of the NBA and the ABA, and they've been around a long time and doing important things with Reggie Miller, and they're a good team this year, and they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So it's weird, man. How can you say the Pacers guys are overrated when they've had success? Seriously, they've had more success than a lot of the NBA teams in the last couple of years. I mean, didn't they do really well in the in-season tournament 2 years in a row also? Like, they were pretty good in in-season tournament the last 2 years. Didn't they win it 1 year? And then also, they've gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals last year and just shy of getting to the finals there. So, yeah, this athletic poll in some ways bugs me, but it is worth talking about. And, it does involve our Raptors and perceptions around the league. I don't know where the poll said about best fans and stuff like that. Usually we do really good in that category. But I don't know. I have to see. The GM's poll come out too, and we'll see what the GMs think about the things that are going on around the league. What do y'all think about the Athletics poll? Do you take any stock in the player poll that the Athletic releases at the end of the year every year? What do you have? Any takes on any of the results? Anything like that? The forum is open in the comment section. I'd love to hear y'all's opinions on the Athletics player poll and some of the results we've seen. Yeah, very, very interesting stuff. The players majority think that SGA is going to win the MVP and that the Boston Celtics will win the championship this year. Very interesting stuff. Trevor J's here. Let's hear his words of wisdom this morning. He said, you're allowed to feel stuck and still have belief in your ability to move forward. Take time to be thankful for everything that you have. You can always have more, but you could also have less. Once again, gratitude is the attitude that will make you happy and feel good and have a good life. No, it doesn't matter how much you have. It doesn't matter if you have this amount of money in your bank account or this amount of things or this many houses or this many cars. None of that shit is the key to happiness. That stuff is not going to get you there. The Buddhist teachings are finding happiness through possessions is shallow and empty and false. You have to find gratitude and happiness from within and generate it from yourself. You can't depend on other people for it. You cannot depend on inanimate objects to give you that happiness. Sure, a pet can make you feel nice, but if that pet dies, what are you going to do after that? That's what I'm going to say. So it's very good to be autonomous and able to have your happiness linked to your own gratitude. And the more basic the things that you are having gratitude for, the easier it is for you to be happy. Because if you need certain settings to be absolutely perfectly happy, well, that may not be always able to happen. Like it has to be sunny and warm outside every day for me to be happy. Well, if you live in Canada, you're going to get cold days, snowy days, rainy days, windy days. So it's like make your parameters for being happy and gratitude easier and more basic. Like Trevor said, if you have a roof over your heads, you have clothes on your back, and you have food on the table, those are the basic tenements of gratitude right there. You have one person in this world that loves you or cares about you. That's a gratitude right there. Some people don't even have one person. So you should be grateful for that, is what I'm saying. So yeah, it's easy to find happiness through gratitude. It's just if you're willing to do it, really. And if you're in touch with yourself enough to be grounded enough to do it. If you're highfalutin with your ego and you're in a whole weird place with your identity, with who you are in the world, well, you ain't going to find this shit. Because first of all, you ain't tethered to reality because your ego's out of control. So there you go. There you go, Trevor J. I appreciate your words of wisdom. We're going to have Leah Routen's words of wisdom and just a little bit on the Instagram stories. Trevor's saying that Oklahoma City came back from down 29 points to beat the Grizzlies last night. John Morant went out with a hip injury, and LA Clippers beat Denver, and Jokic was so mad. Thank you for the synopsis of playoffs last night in some ways. Yeah, Thunder up 3-0 now, handling the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies had a good lead. John Morant got hurt, and the Grizzlies lost, and the Thunder came back and beat them by the end of the game. I'm not surprised by all that. The Thunder are a quality team, and they wanted a test. They got a test last night, and they passed it. And, well, if Morant is done, y'all are done, Memphis. Y'all are really done. What did Charles Barkley say yesterday, Trevor, that you put in the quotes? Charles Barkley said that Memphis has as much faith in winning this series as Charles has in his diet. That's pretty funny. That is pretty funny shit right there. And that, yeah, Charles has not ever had faith in his diet over the years and years and years. No, he's tried all kinds of stuff. I mean, Charles was a spokesperson for Weight Watchers for a while. Seriously, he was in the Weight Watchers commercials for a little while down south. So it's like, you know, he's going to do what he does. Trevor J said that Fred VanVleet told Draymond Green, you better pray Jimmy's back. Well, I'm hearing the initial test results on Jimmy Butler after his injury in the last game are positive and that he should be able to play still. So that's good news for the Warriors. We'll see what happens right there. Trevor wants me to scout Drake Powell from North Carolina. I'm pretty sure I did scout him before. I'm just going to look at him for a second, Trevor, because I do think I did do the scout on him already. I mean, I know I did them all a long time ago. But yeah, I did this guy already. I looked at him. Drake Powell's from North Carolina. He is 19 years old. He's 6'6", 195 pounds. He plays shooting guard, small forward. So he's a swing. He's a little undersized for that position, but it shouldn't be too bad. Let's see. His father played baseball at UNC, and his mother played basketball at UNC also. Let's see. His cousin is Hubert Davis. So he's actually related to North Carolina's coach, Hubert Davis, who he just played for. It's actually his cousin. That's interesting. So he's related to Hubert Davis. So he's in the family when it comes to North Carolina. It's all in the family with his parents and his uncle, or his cousin, I should say. All right, let me just look at him. You know, I get this guy confused with the Drake guy who was on 905 last year because honestly, there was a Drake on our team. What was his name? Drake something. It sounded like Drake Powell. Like, that's why I get him confused with it. But yeah, there was a Drake on our 905 team that I got this guy confused with. All right, his highlights are all crazy long. Let me see if I can find a short one. Not high school. I want highlights. Highlights. Let's see. Which one should I choose? That's his senior high school tape. Nah, I don't know about that. Do kind of see him in the UNC jersey. Let me see. Okay, that's too long. Let's just do this. Here we go. Blake Powell highlight reel. Here we go. Let's see what's up with this. All right, I'm watching. Okay, this looks like his high school highlight reel right now. He's a very tall guy. I mean, he looks big in his high school, that's for sure. But he's only 6'6", so he's playing against really short people, obviously. He just jumped the ball like he was the center. So this highlight's definitely showing him against little kids that are way shorter than him, because he looks like the center out there, but he's actually a 2'3". So he's playing against like really short people here. Yeah, that don't impress me, that block right there. Because it's like these people are like under 6 foot that he's playing against right now. This is really goofy, actually. I don't know, man. Trevor, he's a wing. We don't need wings. So first of all, I'm not even interested in his position, like for this season. You know, good timing for shot blocking right here. Like he's doing some good jumping. Let's see him take an outside shot. And he's driving. That's not a very good play. I don't know. I'm not impressed with this guy, man. And you know, UNC is going to inflate things for him too. So I'm going to say no. And I'm also going to say I'm not interested in wings right now. So unfortunately, no, Trevor. I don't want Drake Powell. He's got a good wingspan. He would have been a nice player to look at maybe 5 or 6 years ago for the Raptors, but we've advanced and we're looking at players at this point. And it's not long arm monsters anymore. That guy's a long arm monster. And that would have fit with Vision 6'9", but this is not what we're doing anymore. We need two-way players, and he may be a good two-way player, but I'd rather have Jacoby Walter out there playing than Drake Powell. And I don't want anybody coming in to mess things up as far as crowd things right now, because we have more than enough 2s and 3s right now. Grady Dick, Ochai Agbaji, Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Jacoby Walter. There's no room for Drake Powell. I got no place for him on our team. I'm sorry. James is saying that he thinks that Zion Williamson is overrated. Oh, yeah. It's not that he's overrated for his talent and what he could possibly be. He's overrated as a professional. He's not a professional person. And that's where he's overrated. He's overrated as a professional. Good morning to you, James. Always good to see you in the chat. Trevor J saying that Pascal getting all the love now, no longer on the Raptors. He should be the number one option. He already won 2 games. Isn't he the number one option? I mean, I don't know if they actually designated or say it out loud. Pascal is the number one option for the Pacers. I think if you ask Pacers Nation, they probably say that right now. I mean, in some ways, they know this season that Halliburton's been unreliable. And there's been a lot of poor shooting games where he's disappeared. And they're on night in, night out basis, Siakam getting a double-double or something like that is more reliable than Halliburton getting 20 points sometimes. Seriously. So, I mean, if you question the Pacers fans, they probably tell you already we visualize Siakam as our number one player right now. Seriously, I would not doubt that, because in some ways they understand steadiness. People in Indiana know basketball, and Siakam's a great player, and they really kind of, you know, in some ways they really like his game because he is really on another kind of level, and he's unique as a player in the league too. There's not many players in this league are like Pascal. So, yeah, of course, Siakam's going to get more acclaim. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say about this whole thing about Siakam being voted the most overrated player last year when he had played half the season for the Raptors and then half the season for the Pacers. Maybe it was because when he got traded to the Pacers, all of a sudden the U.S. market started marketing him a lot more and nobody was familiar with him completely, or they play against him. They should be. But you're saying, oh, the NBA's marketing Siakam more too much since he got traded to the Pacers, because honestly, he's been in Toronto. He's not that great or anything like that. That, you know, that sentiment of downplaying Toronto and what they've done, you know, it is a devalue to Siakam that he doesn't deserve. I mean, he was the second banana on a championship team that won a title. That's better than a whole bunch of guys in this league that they value and put over, like like Zion Williamson. You know, it's a weird thing. Of course, he came out from the shadows of being in Toronto and he's on Indiana. He's going to get more attention and they're going to try and push him more. That's true. But it's interesting, like I said, how a year ago he was voted the most overrated, but this year it's his teammate. And he's nowhere to be seen on the overrated poll because people know, yeah, he's not overrated. He's exactly what he is, and he's a badass. It's crazy. Seymour saying, check out Aaron Gordon's eye. It's black and his lip is busted. A lot of rumors are saying there was a fight in the Denver locker room. Okay, let's go look at Aaron Gordon. I've always thought he's a knucklehead. I mean, I don't mind his ganja style in some ways. Let's see, Aaron Gordon's eye. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, yeah, I see that he's got a little busted up eye. It's like a little bit of black eye. Who knows? Maybe that delinquent Porter punched him in the face. That whole family is a bunch of delinquents, the Porter family. Michael Porter Jr. punching Aaron Gordon in the eye. I don't know. That doesn't look like that bad of a shiner. I mean, that's interesting. So they're speculating he got in a locker room fight with his teammates. I don't know, man. Nuggets are obviously in a bad place. No, Jokic is mad, and the Clippers are healthy, and they're beating their ass, and they're up 2-1 now as of last night. Yeah, I'm just saying the Nuggets aren't going to do nothing. I was saying that in the middle of the year, and now it's coming true. And Clippers have health. Kawhi is back to power. Man, they're in trouble. It's not even totally Kawhi right now. Harden is carrying their team, and he's somebody that people are forgetting about with them. Is James Harden. A lot of attention on Norman and Kawhi, but James Harden is a very essential Clipper too. And in some ways, James is on that clock for like trying to get a championship. So he has a lot of motivation to do well and stay healthy for the Clippers right now. And he's finally in his later career playing the right way as a team player. That's the thing. Harden played point guard, and he can still do the scoring stuff when they need him to. But if he plays efficient and he plays a team game with his teammates, he is a good player to have on your team. In past years, I say James Harden is horrible for your team. He shoots too much. He's a waste. But he's changed his game since he went to the Sixers. They changed him there. I don't know. It wasn't Nick Nurse. It was whoever was coaching him before that, Doc Rivers. They got James Harden to be more of a point guard and pass more. And ever since then, he's been a way better player. Way, way better player. And he's a big part of why the Clippers are up in that series against the Nuggets right now. Oh my gosh, we're not doing a call-in show right now, y'all. So whoever's calling me, yeah, I'm gonna ignore that. Sorry. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying this morning. Seymour has got more to say. He's saying that Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon versus Christian Brune and the crew. It's getting nasty in the Mile High City. That's what the rumor is. Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon are a tag team, and they're going up against Christian Brune and the rest. Wow, that's no good. Apparently, Christian had a players' pool poker party, and Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. were not invited. Well, they shouldn't invite Michael Porter Jr. just by optics. I'm sorry. The Porter family should be staying as far fuck away from gambling in every kind of sense since Ajante. I'm just saying. That's interesting. So Christian Brune's kind of an idiot, and he's not including everybody in his team, and he's causing division. This sounds crazy to me. I bet you this shit wouldn't have happened if Michael Malone was still the coach. This is crazy, man. Nako's saying he's a Porter, but Michael Porter Jr. has bad vibes. Think you could argue Scotty is top 10 underrated. Yeah, I agree with that. I'd say that Scotty's underrated. He's going to get more accolades. They said that Evan Mobley got the Defensive Player of the Year yesterday. I was upset. I don't like that. I don't want these guys that are in this rookie class with Scotty getting ahead of him with accolades. And, there's different people I'm gauging him against. I'm gauging him against Evan. I'm gauging him against Cade. I'm gauging him against Franz. I'm gauging him against even Paulo, even though Paulo is after him. Or was he the year before or after? I think he's the year after. But yeah, Paulo's getting on Team USA and getting All-Star and things like that. And Evan's getting Defensive Player of the Year. Scotty got All-Star and Rookie of the Year. These accolades, I'm gauging them against each other. And Evan Mobley winning Defensive Player of the Year pisses me off, honestly. I feel like you can't give that to him because Jared Allen is a real big factor in why Evan Mobley's a good defensive player. And in some ways, you can't just say Evan Mobley's a great defensive player just because I think that there's too much help from Allen being next to him. And if he was on another team and he didn't have Jared Allen next to him, I don't think he wins Defensive Player of the Year this year. I really don't. And I feel like in some ways, like people are saying that either Zubac or Dyson Daniels should have won Defensive Player of the Year this year. Seriously. Yeah, one of them should have won it, man. Yeah, I would say Scotty's underrated for sure. But somebody voted that they think he's one of the most overrated player in the league. I don't understand that. It's not like he's getting rated. He's not getting rated anywhere like overly. So how the hell can you vote that Scotty is one of the most overrated players in the league? I don't know. Maybe that's a casual that only looks at scoring and they're not seeing the all-round stat stuffing game that Scotty Barnes has. That's the problem right there. That could be it. Yeah. Seymour saying, wow, Charlotte beat out New Orleans and Washington for worst organization. Yeah. Yeah. They're in there, though. They're up near the top there. Dallas is the worst organization, is what Nako says. I tend to agree with you also. I mean, I could go look at some more of these polls real quick. Let's see. We got, let's see. What is this? Why is this not clicking? Come on, open up. All right. First of all, this poll I'm looking at, best organizations: Golden State, Oklahoma City, Boston, the Clippers, the Heat, and then the Lakers, San Antonio, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Utah. Yeah, in some ways, I don't know how they voted this shit. And why, I don't think they asked many people from the Raptors many questions. Best coach in the league, aside from your own coach, Mark Dagnall of the Oklahoma City Thunder, number 1. Kenny Atkinson, number 2, tied with Eric Spoelstra. Joe Mazzulla, number 4. Ty Lue, number 5. Steve Kerr, number 6. Greg Popovich, number 7. Ime Udoka, number 8. And then a tie for JB Biggerstaff and JJ Redick. What the hell, man? What the hell? Somebody actually did vote for Brian Keefe as best coach. Like I said, Darko did not get a single vote in that area as far as things. Let's see. Who's the most overrated player? We already looked at that. Underrated. Number 1 was Cade Cunningham, guys. They think that Cade Cunningham's the most underrated player in the league, the players. Derek White, 2nd. Norman Powell, 3rd. Norman Powell, the 3rd most underrated player in the league right now. And Austin Reeves at 4. That's stupid. Drew Holiday and Jaren Jackson Jr., Lou Dort, Trey Murphy the 3rd, Peyton Pritchard, Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams. This is a lot of thunder on here too. And like I said, from Toronto in the underrated, they put Jakob. Jakob got a vote for this. So he was the one Raptor that's on this list. Oh, Scotty got a vote for this too, as one of the most underrated. So he did get one vote for most underrated. So you're right, Nako. He did get a vote for that. Yeah, these polls are weird, man. They're weird. All right, let's see. Seymour saying he's laughing at Nako. He's saying stop. I mean, I would agree. Dallas should be the worst organization. They've done a really bad job this year. Seymour saying Bradley Beal and Gary Trent Jr. most overrated. Oh, and Kyle Kuzma out of the league. I'll agree with Bradley Beal and Kyle Kuzma, but I'm not going to do Gary like that. No, I won't do Gary like that. Fiercey's here. Good morning, fam, and happy Friday. Good morning to you, MJ. Hope you're having a great morning. Nako saying Halliburton is a 2 as opposed to 1, in my opinion. But those conference games with the Celtics, those were close. They did a better job playing the Celtics last year in the playoffs than the Mavericks did in the finals. The Pacers hung with the Celtics and played them better in the Eastern Conference Finals than the finals with the Dallas Mavericks. That's for sure. Halliburton, I know they've said that he's a 1, but he's more of a 2 kind of offensive player. I know it's tough. In some ways, like it depends on who he's playing next to in the backcourt, whether he's a 1 or a 2. If he's playing with Nebhard, then he's a 2. But if he's starting and he's playing with somebody like I don't know who's one of their backup, one of their guards like that they play with all the time, Neesmith or something, then he's the 1. So it's like it really depends on who's in the backcourt with him, Nako. He's a switch. And he does have good assists and steals number that he is he can play legit point guard because he does pass really well. And that's really the one thing you need to do is get assists if you're going to be a point guard. But he's a combo guard. And in some ways, I would say you're right. Like his build classically is shooting guard. Like if he didn't have to play point guard for the Pacers and he was just playing shooting guard, that would be his more natural position to me. But because he has a good passing acumen and he does steal the ball a lot, Halliburton can be slotted at 1. Yeah, Seymour's here. He's saying good morning to Eye Candy. There you go. The romance is on still. Fiercey saying, I don't take these polls seriously. They're biased. Yeah, they're not scientific, and they're definitely biased. The one for the coaches seems to target teams with bad records. We know our roster loves Darko, and I'm sure others are vying to be in such a vibe. Yeah, that in some ways what matters. Once again, much like the media, there's a lot of people that are not paying close attention to the Raptors. There may be players in this league that pay attention to them when the scouting report comes up. They got to play them in the season. but they may not be looking at the overall picture or really truly understanding the things that are going on here because they're not paying attention. And I feel like that's part of it. The bias may come from just a lack of attention on our team, whether it's by the media down in the States focusing on us at all, or just in some ways the players, like, there's a lot of teams in the league and they have different ideas about different things. And the team, like if you're in the Western Conference and you play the Raptors twice a year, you're not thinking about the Raptors very often. Let's just put it that way. And if they asked a lot of players in the Western Conference, this athletic player poll, well, it could be skewed for that way. I'm just saying. Seymour saying hi to Fiercey saying hi to Seymour. And she's asking, why is Jokic mad? His team is garbage. He's a competitor. He wants to win. He's frustrated. In some ways, his team's disintegrating right in front of him. I think the firing of the coach, in some ways, even if it was needed, it's a symbol of like, this is not the team you played for when you won a championship, Nicola. And things are falling apart right around you. And in some ways, I don't know where his attitude's going to be. Maybe his attitude will be like Giannis's. If the Milwaukee Bucks go out early, maybe both of them are going to be saying, hey, I wonder if the grass is greener on the other side. Because I could see that happening with Jokic, much like Giannis, if there's not, because they're in a similar situation. They both won championships in recent years, and they've been on a downslide since with their organizations. And, those kind of caliber talents, they command a lot of attention and they have a lot of gravity in the league as far as like, hey, yeah, if Giannis is available, I want him on my team. If Joker is available, I want him on my team. That kind of stuff. So they have power. In some ways, they have more power than their own organization, Let's see. Smooth saying Nuggets look cooked. Wow, man. They just don't have enough weapons, man. They're one injury away from being absolutely cooked, completely cooked. The thing is, like, Jamal Murray's got to play very efficient and top level to help Joker carry because they don't have as many options anymore. Michael Porter Jr. is washed in some ways. Aaron Gordon, whatever the issues are with this team, they're stupid. Those guys they were always elevated by Jokic. But if they're not getting the same kind of elevation around him at this point that they were a couple years ago, they're not as good as players as you put them on another team without Nikola on the team with them. Those guys are ordinary NBA players, Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon. They're inflated and better just because they play next to Nikola. That's just the damn truth. They could be on the Charlotte Hornets and they'd be jabronis. Seriously, both of them. So it's like, yeah, they're cooked. They had a talent drop off. In some ways, they're thinking about the days when Bruce Brown used to hang out in their locker room. That's right. Nako's saying most underrated player, maybe Desmond Bain or Yak. Most overrated, Bam or Paulo. I think that the players got it right. I think Halliburton is overrated. Like, I don't disagree with that choice. I think that Joel Embiid is very overrated. He's another one. I don't know if I'd say Desmond Bain's underrated because he's gotten a lot of accolades and he's about right place. But we'll definitely say Jakob is underrated. In fact, if I had to make a choice in this whole entire league for the most underrated player in the league, I might pick Jakob Poeltl. Of course, I'm very biased to pick a Raptor for that. So we're saying if the Grizzlies get swept, do they look to trade Ja Morant? I'm already hearing that's already in the cards. It doesn't even have anything to do with what happens with this series. They're sick of his shit. And if Memphis wants to change the chapter, they're going to shop Ja this summer. It seems like this summer, maybe this summer, where a lot of bad situations with players that have been going on for a couple of years now are going to get cleaned up. It could very well be that they swap problems for each other. Like, what if they traded Zion Williamson for Ja Morant? And Ja Morant all of a sudden is on New Orleans, and Zion Williamson is all of a sudden on Memphis. Is that going to solve anybody's problems? Probably not. The same problems will go with each of those guys. In some ways, being in New Orleans for Ja ain't going to be any better. Trust me. It's a similar kind of city to New Orleans in some ways, as far as crime and different things going on around it. And Zion Williamson, is he going to have better eating habits because he's around Zach Edey and the Grizzlies? I'm just saying, I've seen this move before where teams trade bad, toxic players on their team for each other just to see if the change of scenery works. It rarely does it. The same problems go to the next place. But the writing's been on the wall for Ja Morant all season. In some ways, they're just sick of his shit. In some ways, part of the reason why they fired Taylor Jenkins is because of Ja Morant. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I could see Ja getting traded this summer, just like Zion. Zion's probably going to get moved this year for sure. Let's see. Nako's saying Ja's value has to be in the toilet. It depends on which team. I mean, his value for a team like ours that has standards about who we bring in for character, yeah, his value's in the toilet with a team like us that has standards. But there's a lot of teams out there that don't. There's teams out there that will hire criminals and crazy people and put them on their team, and they won't look the other way. Teams like the Clippers, honestly, the Clippers are a team like this. The Miami Heat can be like this to an extent at times too. You know, really bad teams that just really want a good talented player on them, like Washington or Charlotte, yeah, they'll go after Ja Morant because they'll see the talent infusion and they'll make the gamble, is what I'm saying. Yeah, Fiercey saying Halliburton still gets more touches despite Pascal clearly being the man. Yeah, but I mean, that's not a big deal. In some ways, Halliburton gets volume because he needs that as a volume shooter. And he is the best shooter on the team in some ways, even though he goes cold and he misses a lot. Siakam can be more efficient. He could get more shots attempts than he could get less shot attempts than Tyrese and still score more than him because he's more efficient. So this is not a big deal. I mean, I never get worried about shot attempt counts. I feel like some NBA players or NBA fans look at that too much. I don't. It's just like I said, every night's different in an NBA game. The shot attempts for players on your team are going to be different every night. And this is going to be important for the Raptors next year. People are going to keep track of who's taking the most shots on the Raptors next year between Brandon, RJ, and Scotty and Emmanuel. Just stop. There's no point in it. And it's not like nitpicking about that night in, night out is something that's worthwhile because it's over the whole aggregate of the whole entire season that you figure out the averages. And on some nights, there be maybe, a little bit of an outlier where all of a sudden, Brandon's shooting like 35 shots in a game just because he's hot. He's going crazy, something like that. That's a little ridiculous. Not 35, maybe 30 shots. But then on another night, Brandon's getting covered up really tight with a double, and he has to pass out of it more and more. He's going to shoot only 10 shots for that game. We can't look at this number. I don't get hung up on shot count. And in some ways, Siakam's a more efficient player. It shouldn't matter if he takes less shots than Halliburton. He needs more shots because he's like that. Reggie saying, if not for Pascal, the Pacers are not where they are. Their fans know it. We know it. He's a top 10 player. That was something we were trying to say and put on Siakam the last year he was on the Raptors, the last 2 years, is we were trying to start elevating him in the conversation as being a top 15 player in the NBA, like one of the top 15 players in the league. And people would laugh at that. But no, on the download, there is a lot to him that is powerful. And it can give you the argument that he could be like in that stretch here. Some people may laugh at that. Some people may say, you're crazy. You think that Siakam's one of the top 15 players in the league? Well, let's just look at the results and how he wins and how he helps be conducive to winning, like Smooth is saying here. That's right. The Pacers are nowhere near where they are right now with the success that they've had in the last year without Siakam in that trade. And Pacers fans do know this. That's right. Fiercely saying, yeah, I had posted the picture in the group. His face was swollen and clearly, hang on, it jumped ahead. Let me get back to the spot. And clearly he had went through it. Fist went through it. Last year's excuse were his dog's biting his face. What is this time around? It seems problematic. Maybe Aaron Gordon's in a secret fight club. And the first rule of Fight Club, he can't talk about it. So you have to ask him, what happened to you, Aaron? Oh, my dog bit me. Okay. What happened to you, Eric? Oh, Aaron, I wasn't invited to a poker game Christian Brune put on, so I fighted my teammates. What? Wait, what? Oh, wait, no, I'm in an underground fight club. Yeah, it's on a seedy bar on the edge of Denver, and we step outside and we fight, and it makes me feel alive. I mean, you can't say that in the interview, right? You can't say it. That's the first rule, right? Is like, don't talk about it, Aaron Gordon. Like, why are you beat up, Aaron Gordon? What happened? Oh, man, don't worry about it. It was definitely just me walking into a door. Is your spouse beating you? No, I just walked into a door. I'm telling you. I don't know what's going on with Aaron Gordon, man. I don't know. It's some Shawn Michaels stuff right there. I don't know what's going on there. Problematic might be the right word. Yeah. Naka's saying, to be fair, Halliburton getting more touches is fine because he's a better passer than Siakam, even if Siakam is better. Yeah. Once again, it's like, I don't get caught up on touches and shots. I really don't. I feel like, especially with our team specifically, other teams, maybe they have to nitpick about this because there's a hierarchy and there's a certain player that's going to be the franchise player and they're supposed to get most of the shots. But we're really egalitarian with the Raptors and Darko's system. is that there's not going to be any designated like scoring totals or amount of shots that the Raptors are going to get next year. And I want to train Raptors Nation right now to get over looking at those kind of stats and nitpicking about it, because I don't want to do this all next year, where after every single Raptor game, there's certain section of Raptors Nation complaining about people doing this or doing that. And why isn't this person doing more of this? And why is this person doing so much of this? Just let Darko run the system. And once again, our offense is predicated partly on the defense that they face and beating the matchups. And the water runs to the crack that it can flow through the best. And if it's RJ that night because he bully balls through the lane and throws up some left-handed lane shots off the glass, if it's Brandon Ingram because his overpowering post-up game or any of his excellent all-round offense is useful, if it's IQ and transition threes, if it's Scotty doing what Scotty does, y'all just be happy. And in some ways, once again, this is the only thing that matters stat-wise with the Raptors. The team win. And all the little individual stats and stuff like nitpicking about, oh, RJ only took 5 shots in this game. What's going on? I don't want to hear any of it. And not for any of these players. None of them should have this stuff going on, as far as I'm concerned. None of them. No Scotty fans getting all bent out of shape, but Scotty's not scoring him enough and he's passing more. None of this shit. That Darko is the boss and he has a vision and these guys are bought in and they believe in it. And that's all that should matter. It doesn't matter if the fans believe in it or buy into it. If the players are doing it and believing it, that's the thing that matters right there. That's right. Fiercey's laughing because it's not a call-in show today. That was yesterday. We got some really good calls yesterday. I was really appreciating all the different voices. Adriana, Stargate, also hearing from Seymour Pape and the King, of course, from To The Point. Trevor's saying Powell and James take over the game for the win. Powell and James? Powell and James. Oh, Norman Powell and James Harden. Yeah, you're going to make me think LeBron James, man. You're going to make me think LeBron James. Fiercey saying Scotty will get Defensive Player of the Year. Just wait. Yeah, in some ways it's going to be when the Raptors are back in the playoffs and we are very much a badass defensive team and it is just apparent. Like, once again, this is why I really tout our winners of awards, because we don't get overlooked. And when we win awards like Pascal's Most Improved or the Rookie of the Year for Scotty or any of this kind of stuff, we really earned it because we get overlooked and overshadowed and not really paid attention to. So that's why I say this. Like, Scotty's going to win a Defensive Player of the Year in his career. I know that. At least one, if not multiple ones. Seriously. Reggie saying Mobley is in a great situation playing beside Jared Allen. Mobley can funnel guys toward Allen. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't believe in him winning the Defensive Player of the Year, because he has a Defensive Player of the Year next to him that makes it real easy. He's got his back so that his stats can look really, really good, partly because Jared Allen is around there blocking shots next to him as a twin tower. That's why I'll downplay this Defensive Player of the Year for Evan Mobley. It's okay. You should give it to both of them. You should have said co-defensive players of the year, Jared Allen / Evan Mobley. In some ways, it's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. I mean, I get it. Cavs had an exceptional year this year, a really, really record year, and they do deserve accolades. And maybe this is the way they wanted to pay them back and give one to them. But in some ways, once again, I will say this. Jared Allen is a huge factor in why Evan Mobley is the Defensive Player of the Year. And in some ways, I don't agree with this shit. I don't. Tristan Trey's here. He's taking back his comments, though. Stargate saying Defensive Player of the Year should have gone to Dyson Daniels. Sorry, Evan Mobley didn't deserve that award. Now, the argument is that Daniels is on a team that didn't do much successful-wise, but he did lead the league in steals, and he was a very effective defensive player, a very strong, overwhelming defensive player. But in some ways, the detraction for him is the team stuff with the Hawks and the way they did their season. Some ways I get it. The awards should go to top teams in the league, teams that are at the top of the standings. And that's usually the case. And that's usually what happens. Teams that are kind of mediocre or bad that aren't in the playoffs, they're not going to get awards at the end of the season. That's just how it is. Gerald's saying Paulo was the year after. Mobley is lucky to play with as much talent as he is. Defensive Player of the Year should have been Wemby, but because he wasn't healthy, Dyson. Yeah, if Wembanyama had not been hurt with his blood clots and missed the 65 mark, he would have been the Defensive Player of the Year this year. He didn't get it last year, which was a travesty and robbery. So he should have gotten it this year, but he wasn't healthy and he didn't get the 65 game plateau to be able to do it. And well, that's just how it goes, man. It's just how it goes. That new rule made it that way. It may have been like back in the day that that wouldn't have mattered. And Victor would have won Defensive Player of the Year, even with the amount of games he played this year. Because in some ways, it's very impressive that Victor led the league in blocks with so few games, like after he left. Like he was way ahead of everybody in blocks, that he had a real good lead that I don't think nobody caught up to him by the end of the year. He still had the most blocks in the entire league, even though he missed almost half the season. So that's pretty interesting. Fiercely saying best organization based on what criteria? Well, the perception of the players. The players were asked, who do you think has the best organization in the league other than the one you play for right now? And most of them said Golden State, number one. They feel like Golden State has the best organization from the outside looking in. Yeah. Let's see what else. Tristan, why'd you take all your messages back, man? I want to hear what you're saying. Seymour saying, stay focused. Don't be a Shannon Sharp. Yeah, that's weird stuff. I don't even know what's going on. That ain't my unk. We don't need to bring up Shannon Sharp. I don't even know what's going on with him. I don't want to know in some ways. Nako's saying, Halliburton strikes me as a number 2 option on a championship team as opposed to a number 1 scoring option. Yeah, I don't know. It's like you can't really slap this kind of stuff or just figure this out. This is the thing, Nako. It's not about that. It's about streak shooting. It's like, all right, is Halliburton hot? If he's scoring a lot, can he get to 50 points because he's shooting so well and he's just scorching? Well, he's the number 1 option. If he can't shoot and he's off and he's a streak shooter and he's doing his John Starks and he's not on that night, well, he can't be the number 1 option. It may not even be able to be the 2nd option or the 3rd option, because that's the problem right there. He's a streaky guy. Now, he could be super hot and be crazy scoring and prolific, and all of a sudden, yeah, he's the number 1 option. That's the thing. You can't just say that this is this for sure. Now, Siakam's been a number 2 option for a championship proven already. In some ways, we'll have to see if he can elevate and be a number 1 option and carry the Pacers to a championship. We'll have to see. Seymour saying the Kings should have never moved him, but they had Fox and Dave Davion. Now all 3 are gone. Yeah. Should have never moved him. Now all 3 are gone. Who's the 3rd person? Oh, Halliburton. Yeah, all 3 of those guys were above average steals guys. All 3 of them, Fox, Halliburton, and Davion. And now the Kings don't have any backcourt defense. It's crazy. They had a glut of it, too many guys, and now their backcourt defense isn't the best at all. It's the strength that they had like a couple years ago, but all those guys are gone now. Davion Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, top-notch steal guys in this league. They're not on the team anymore, so they don't have that anymore. It's interesting. Slug DZ saying, I would trade IQ and RJ for Ja Morant. I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that, man, because honestly, you can't trust Ja. You cannot trust Ja. In some ways, this league the salary cap is making it all the more important that you can trust your players to be available, healthy, and are there for you. You can't trust Ja Morant because he wants to play childhood cowboys and cops and robbers kind of shit. He wants to play that kind of childish shit. Well, he gets a suspension. He's out of the league. Also, the other reason why I don't like Ja Morant on my team is he is a risky player with high-flying stuff. He's a guy who's going to get hurt more and more because I think it's amazing. He's a talent. He's got an athleticism that should be in the dunk competition. He should be in it next year. He's an idiot for not doing that. Like, seriously, you should have done the dunk competition already a few times, at least once or twice, and dominated it. But you're selfish, and you don't do shit like that. And I would say in games, when he flies through the air like that, he's more apt to be getting hurt all the time. And I don't want that around my team. I don't want a high-paid player that's going to make a huge amount of money being in street clothes and not available all the time. So I would say no, Slug Easy. Ja Morant is on my no trade to the Raptors list because he's not reliable. And he would be more of a headache than anything. Tristan's saying, bro. And I'm with him on that. Bro. RIQ and RJ? No way, man. No way. No way. Both those guys are solid. Trevor's saying they're saying Mobley won because he can make the threes from outside to go along with his defense. That's stupid. Why would they say that? The awards for Defensive Player of the Year, they shouldn't be taking into account that he's a three-point shooter also. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Did somebody say that on TV? Whoever said that, they shouldn't be on TV because they're an idiot. Like, it's a Defensive Player of the Year award. What? We're going to start looking at three-point percentage for Defensive Player of the Year? Like, what the fuck is this? That's not the category. Like, seriously, somebody said that part of the reason why he won is because he's good from three, too. That's absolute horse crap. And I can't believe they did that. Yeah, facepalm. Just like Trevor Tristan Trey saying, facepalm. That's right. That's right. You be getting fleece, fam. Yeah, that's not a good trade. I'm not about that trade at all. Not. Nako saying IQ and RJ. Are we getting at least Edie and a first too? That may be getting more like it. Like if you're going to do that, and I would even want to flip Jaw and trade him somewhere else and get a whole kit and caboodle for him in that trade. But if it brings Zach Edie and a first round pick to us, I might do that. That deal sounds better with what Nako added to it. That's right. Bryce is here. Good to see Bryce Lawson. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. Nico Harrison might have really started something if we see teams like Memphis and New Orleans come out with their players. It's interesting because we can almost feel the shift coming. It makes sense. I mean, listen, that's the thing that cinched up the purse strings on salary caps for all the franchises. They can't mess around on dead wood. They can't be having people like Zion and Ja hanging around, paying that much money to them, and they're not getting a return on it. In some ways, people like Joel Embiid are in trouble in this new NBA too, because they're unreliable and they only show up half the time. So in some ways, GMs, it's not going to be about cost cutting and trying to save stuff. It's about getting most effective, efficient things from your bang for your dollar in your salary cap. And these dead notes like Williamson and Morant and Embiid are going to be looked at more and more as like, yeah, we can't have this guy around. I mean, in some ways, Ben Simmons was the first one. Ben Simmons had that balloon contract, sat around, but in some ways, you saw what happened. He's not going to get paid like he used to at this point. And it's all going to change. And teams are going to start moving people left and right. And this summer is going to be when it happens, some of it. Yeah. Fiercely saying, you're right, Lex and Nako. Makes sense for Halliburton to get more touches, but I'm hoping the fans value and realize the true importance of Pascal. They do. I see the love between Pacers Nation and Siakam, and it makes me happy because Pascal is a very interactive player with the fans. He really does care about having a connection with the fans. Like I said, when I went to the coach's open house, the last one Nick Nurse did, Siakam was disobeying the orders of Nick and the coaches and interacting with the coaches in the stands when he wasn't supposed to. They were supposed to act like they were in a gym, a closed gym with nobody in it and not even like acknowledge that we were there. Siakam turned and started waving to us, started trying to talk to us. So having a connection with the fans in the city he plays for is really important to Siakam. And the fans in Indiana really do respect and care for him the right kind of way. I'm proud of that. I'm happy about that. Indiana, thank you for taking care and respecting of Pascal the way that he deserves. Because I don't think that was guaranteed for a lot of different franchises he could have gone to. That shit would not happen in New York. That shit would not happen in a lot of other places he could have gotten traded to. But it's happening in Indiana. And I respect and I appreciate Pacers Nation for taking care of Siakam the right way since he left us. Yeah, he's important to me. And I want him to be happy. And as Pacers Nation, y'all are good fans. Thank you for being really good fans towards Pascal Siakam. Let's see. Stargate saying, oh boy, here we go with the hypothetical fantasy Raptor trade scenarios already. Get over to Raptors Digest with that effery. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's an interesting idea. I don't mind Slug bringing it up because in some ways I want to think about it and let's just visit it for a second. Yeah, no, it's a no-go because John Morant is not rehabilitated. This dude did different things to rehabilitate his image and it's not sticking. It's not getting through to him. It's still, he's a play actor that wants to be a little wannabe gangbanger guy. And in some ways, it's not good for him. It's not good for him. He's not figuring this out. Stargate saying the most overrated player is Jason Tatum. Yeah, I won't disagree with that. He's in my top 5 for sure in the whole entire league. Kaloy saying, morning, Lex and Phila Freaks, kicking myself in the nuts today. Don't do that. And how do you do that? Are you some sort of contortionist? How the hell did you do that? Seriously, how do you kick yourself in the nuts? That's amazing, man. You should maybe look into another line of work if you got that ability. I had a chance to bet on OKC comeback where $20 hits 300, but no, I had to be prudent and not bet anymore. Laugh out loud. Well, I'm always going to say don't bet. Don't bet. Don't do it. So you did the right thing. Although if you feel like you messed up and the next time this comes up, well, remember how you feel right now. And do what you feel like you should do with that knowledge. But yeah, I say save your money. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let it go. Let it go. That's right. Sheriff is saying that I ain't watched wrestling in a long time, but Houston versus Golden State is pretty damn close. Dylan Brooks. Yeah. Yeah, there's all these playoff games are very chippy and physical from what I'm hearing. This Detroit game last night with the Knicks as Trevor was saying in the chat, had like technicals in the first quarter, 3 technicals right away, all kinds of physicality getting played in different series, whether it's the Houston and Golden State series. There's physicality in New York, Detroit. There's physicality in what's another series where they've been kind of complaining about the physicality, that they Orlando and Boston. That definitely, with the bloodiness of Kristaps and stuff like that, there's a very, very interesting stuff going on with physicality in these playoffs, but that's the way it is. This has been a physical year in the NBA. A lot more has been let go as far as physicality. And, well, in the playoffs, it's ratcheted up a little bit up. And they're still allowing a good amount of it to an extent right there. All right, let me do something. Let's do something. Let's do the straight goods. Straight goods. Now, today I'm not doing a Canadian good. I'm doing a good from Ukraine, guys. This is actually a Ukraine product. So you're not supporting the United States if you buy this product, but you're supporting Ukraine. And that's a good country to support and send money to economy. So this is not a Canadian product. This is a thing called Bob Snail. And it's a little weird, man. It's a little weird. Bob Snail is like a fruit roll-up kind of thing. Now, the great thing about Bob Snail is it's vegan and gluten-free. And also, this is really a good snack for kids. This is like healthy. This isn't like sugar bullshit that's going to be like, oh, this is corn syrup and really not healthy for your kids. This is actually made from real fruit, and it's actually really, really good. Like, seriously, it's a little package like this. These are the fruit roll-up ones. They have different ones. They have sticks and different things. But the Bob the Snail, I'll open one right now and eat it real quick, is basically, this flavor that I've got showing here right now is apple blueberry. So they take real fruit and they make it into a little roll up, and like it's a little spiral. See, and you can getting a little snack here. It's so good. It's so good. Blueberry and apple. Now I've got a couple flavors here. I've got this one, which is mango and mango rolls, and then we got this one is apple and raspberry rolls. So there's 3 different flavors of Bob Snail. It's at most grocery stores in Canada. Honestly, they got them at Loblaws, which I don't say go to Loblaws, but I get them at Vince's. But yeah, you can get Bob Snail, and it's a Ukrainian product, and it supports a Ukrainian company. And of course, Ukraine is involved in a war right now, and helping another country that's in a bad spot. Hey, that's not a bad thing to do. And if you want healthy snacks for yourself or your kids, Bob Snail. Yeah, Bob Snail. I know it's a little weird. It's a little weird. And it's not a Canadian company. As I said, it is a Ukrainian company. So you can buy Bob Snail. Look at Bob the Snail. He's a weird guy. Apple raspberry rolls. Just a little pick-me-up. A little fruity, sugary pick-me-up. Yeah, it's good. Bob Snail. All right, let's keep going. G saying, imagine voting for an overrated player or coach just to be traded to their team. Awkward. Well, this is an anonymous poll, and they don't attach who said what, and you can't go back and say, oh, this is what Jason Tatum said in the Athletics player poll. There's no attachment to that. Sure, maybe some of the reporters will know exactly who said what, but they're not supposed to divulge that. This is an anonymous player poll. So even if they got traded to a team where they voted that, oh, this is the worst organization, they wouldn't know that because they wouldn't be able to link that to them. Seymour saying the 1st and 10 series like a football match. Laugh out loud. 1st and 10 series. Okay. Fiercely saying, I guess Curry can also win Defensive Player of the Year since he hits threes. Yeah, I just don't understand that. Who said that, Trevor? Does somebody on TV say, oh, Evan Mobley should win Defensive Player of the Year because he also hits threes? What the? Don't make no sense. Stargate saying, but defense is not just about blocks and steals. You have to look at the way you effectively guard your position, effective runouts and recoveries, breaking up opponents, the offensive plays at the point of attack, etc. Yeah, I agree with all that. The Stargate is saying there. And, I don't know, man. Once again, I'm going to say this. I just feel like, once again, like if you have a team that's got 2 very good defensive centers, why the hell are you going to give one of them a Defensive Player of the Year and you're not acknowledging the other guy as far as like how much he helps the other guy? I'm going to stand on this hill. And in some ways, as much as people discount Scotty Barnes Rookie of the Year, I discount Evan Mobley's Defensive Player of the Year that he got yesterday. I totally do. As a Raptors fan. Because seriously, Jared Allen, come on now. Come on now. Reggie's saying Pascal is the one ex-Raptor that I want to win a second ring, man. I love him, man. Yeah, I want to see this too. I want to see Fred win one too, though. Fred is one that I would be okay with winning a ring too. I don't know about OG. I don't know about OG. But yeah, Fred and Pascal, I put in this category. Myself, not everybody's going to put Fred in there too, like me. Tristan saying, Ja, Edie, a first rounder for RJ and Quick, no deal equals no deal. So you don't even like that. Tristan's like, no, that ain't even good enough. Ja Morant, Zach Edey, and a first round pick for RJ and Emmanuel Quickly, and you wouldn't do that trade. Yeah, I might be with you on that. Seriously. Reggie saying John Morant, for all of his other world talent, is a wannabe gangster, man. Toronto needs to stay away. Yeah, I'm just saying these guys aren't reliable. In some ways, when we are going to the draft this summer and we're thinking about who we're going to pick, we are looking at, is this kid a good kid with a good head on his shoulders? As far as we can project him psychologically, is going to be dependable. Did they have the right kind of mentality of motivation? Or they just come in the league to get a bag and get their millions and they're good? Or are they going to get their millions and continue to work hard and strive to become a better and better player after they just get to the top? That's the other question you have to ask. Because there are a lot of players that can have lip service and say, oh, no, I want to win championships. I want to be the best in the league and stuff. But there's something inside them that kind of shuts off once they hit a certain level of success and they don't have the drive that they had before. There's tons of players in this league like that. And you have to suss out who those kind of players are from the ones that are real ones, like a Siakam, or I would say a Scotty Barnes, a guy who has his head on his shoulders and really cares. In fact, let's go to the Instagram stories real quick because there's something about this. First of all, Leo Routens is words of wisdom this morning saying, do not waste time thinking about what you could have done differently. Keep your eyes on the road ahead and do it differently now. There you go. That was his words of wisdom yesterday. And today he's saying, learn to be okay with the fact that you are not for everyone. You shouldn't even want to be. There you go. Good morning. Coffee is not for everyone, and that's okay. Not for this guy. It's just that I like tea. That's all. Yeah. Let's see. Scotty, as I said, is he out there working? Yeah, he's on vacation. He's in Manila. He is in the Philippines still right now. But he's out running around in the middle of the night in the streets of Manila jogging. Scotty's getting his fitness on, running around in Manila last night. Run around with the camera saying, see, guys, I'm still working and I'm doing things and I'm working on my fitness. So Scotty was out doing a jog through the streets of Manila last night, just so y'all know. Our guy is still putting in the work. There's Norman Powell. He's happy about the Clippers being up. Welcome to the series. Let's go, Norman, and the Clippers. Jamal Shed was at a draft party for the NFL yesterday, guys. He was in the room for a guy named Jada Barrett, who played for the Texas Longhorns for football. He got drafted by the Denver Broncos yesterday, and Jamal Shed was at the draft party in the room with him when he got drafted and celebrating with him. So Jamal Shed's showing love for another Texas athlete, a guy who went to Texas University, not Houston. And it's just somebody I guess he knows from the state of Texas that's a friend of his. So Shed was at an NFL draft party last night, just so y'all know. Doug is showing pictures of him from last summer in the ballroom, the infamous Summer League ballroom in Las Vegas at the Wynn Casino Ballroom. And Slim Duck's showing those moves and putting on this stuff. And, man, let's see what's going on, Chris Boucher, with your season next year. There you go. He's also putting on blast Quincy Guerrier. He's very proud that Quincy has come back and signed with the Montreal Alliance for this year's CBL league, Canadian Elite Basketball League. Quincy Guerrier, once again, playing for Montreal this year. And Slim Duck, being a part owner of the Alliance, is very proud to have his fellow Montreal native going to be represented. Toronto Tempo president Teresa Resch still putting on blast this show, Flex. And I am very curious about this. It looks really good. It's a stage show. It's a play that's based on women's basketball. And the cast is a bunch of young Black women who are on a team together. And the story is about their team and their interactions. And it interweaves their lives and basketball and being a woman and that kind of stuff in the story. And the play's called Flex, and it's at the Crows Theater. I would highly recommend. It seems like this is really, really good. It's written by Candace Jones and directed by Mumbi Tindiawaba Otu. and it runs till May the 18th at the Crows Taking Flight Obsidian Theater. So, guys, if you're in Toronto and you want to see good theater, especially theater that has to do with basketball, there's a really good show in town right now till the middle of May called Flex, and y'all should try and go see it. Seriously, Kelly Olynyk always being about food. In fact, he's sitting at a restaurant at the kitchen and they bring it right to him. Kelly, you just a foodie, man. There's so much food in your life. Food, food, food. There's more food. There's the faux noodles. This man's out of control, man. Savannah Hamilton saying happy birthday to her sister Asia yesterday. And there's some scenes from the Flex play. It's really cool because the stage is like a half court and they kind of do different scenes. Like there'll be scenes where they're actually playing in the game and they're talking and they're kind of like running around on the court. But then there's also scenes where they're like on their off time and they're as a team hanging out all on the same stage. So it really seems like this show Flex is amazing, guys. And I want to really put it on blast and tell people to go out and see it. Yeah. Savannah's saying if you love basketball, go watch Flex. It's a one-of-a-kind experience that captures the intricacies of women's basketball. Well done. There you go. As somebody who played women's basketball at the TMU and, as a sister who plays professional basketball, Savannah Hamilton understands the world of women's basketball. And she's saying this is a very authentic, great kind of play portraying this world. And I like that. I like that. Yeah, if Toronto Tempo's putting on blast too, you're going to want to check this out is what they're saying. Matt Devlin is catching the ball before the ball hits him in the face when he's calling the game with Cleveland and Miami the other day. I didn't realize he was calling the game with Greg Anthony. Greg Anthony was your calling partner in that game, Matt Devlin? Okay. Hopefully he didn't say anything out of pocket about the Raptors. All right, there's your Instagram stories right there. Flex is the show to see in downtown Toronto on women's basketball, a great stage show. Check it out. I'm wondering with Scotty come back to Toronto and go see Flex, bro. Seriously, Scotty, you love plays. And you need to come back and see Flex, my guy, because it's right up your alley. I'm pretty sure. Right up your alley. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying in the chat. We'll get back on the chat here real quick. Smooth saying John Morant for all of his. Well, yeah, I read that one already. Stargate saying that's why guys like Kawhi, Drew Holiday, Dyson Daniels, Jaden McDaniels, Scotty should always be considered for Defensive Player of the Year because of those other stats. Yeah, Kawhi got really good compliment from Mark Gasol in that podcast with Zach Randolph recently. He said that he thinks that Kawhi is the perfect defensive player because every single time down the floor, Kawhi positions his body in the exact place he's supposed to be. He never messes up. That's what Mark said. Playing with him on the Raptors, the championship year, he realized that Kawhi Leonard never fucks up on his defensive positioning and assignment. So in watching him play for the Clippers right now against the Nuggets, you can see what it's all about. Like he really understands where he should be standing to be the biggest shit disturber for the other team's offense. And he's really smart about it. And, that's the kind of stuff that I think makes a Defensive Player of the Year is a guy who really understands like positioning. It's not even necessarily about steals and blocks. It's about knowing that this is the correct positioning for you every single time down the court on defense and being an effective defender that is very, very good at holding the other team from scoring any points. Yeah. Yeah. Seymour saying Darko would love Bane, but no, we ain't moving RJ. I don't care. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Desmond Bane would love to come and play for Toronto and for Darko, I'm sure, because he really does. They're best buddies. And Desmond Bane thinks the world of our coach, Rajakovic. So that would be weird. That'd be interesting. He's not a player that I would be against being on the Raptors. He's definitely a kind of guy I would invite up. I feel like he's reliable. I wouldn't want Ja on our team, but I would take Desmond. But the trade has to be right. And in some ways, I'm not trading RJ for anybody. No, RJ Barrett is Toronto, and Toronto needs to have RJ Barrett, is what I'm saying right here. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Nako's saying, I think the wit that a player like Dyson outweighs the wit that a player like Wemby plays with. But if Wemby's intangibles haven't earned him a best defender, they're going to. Well, the only reason why he didn't win it this year is because he didn't get 65 games, Nako. Let's not get it twisted. Dyson Daniels is a great barrier thief, right? He gets a lot of steals. He's really good in transition defense. But Wembanyama is a whole other level of defender because, first of all, he gets, like Scotty, stocks. He gets both. He gets a lot of steals too. He gets the blocks. We know all about Victor's blocks. But Victor gets a lot of steals also, just like Scotty and Giannis and other people like that. And Dyson Daniels, I don't know. I don't know what his blocks numbers look like. But that's the reason why Wembanyama should be the defensive player of the year. And if he had played most of the season, he would have been. He would have been this year. Yeah. Trevor saying, Slug DZ, what are you smoking? Making think like you on Mars, making me think you're on Mars. You want us to give up IQ and RJ? The Red Planet have you confused? Whoa. No personal attacks. It's like DZ had an idea. You know, he's enchanted by John Morant's win over gravity. And you know, I mean, I can't fault him. I might have been interested in John Morant 4 years ago or something, like before he was known to be such a flake as far as the things he's doing in his life. You know, if I just saw the talent and who he was, I would have been like, hell yeah, I want him on the team. But now that I know him, he's revealed himself to a degree. We don't need this headache. And that's why, like, NBA players need to really think about their standing and their bag and what they look like to the rest of the league. Because there may be really talented guys that have been prima donnas and not very good assets because they've kind of taken not seriously, that will find themselves out of the league very fast. Shorten careers. It may not be any more of this paying guys balloon payments of to sit on the bench and not do anything for a long time. No, the league may be like, you know, fuck you, you're out. And we're sick of this shit because we can't do this anymore. That's right. Slug DZ saying, I'm not hang on, what did he say? It jumped ahead. I want to make sure I represented him correctly. He's saying, he's saying, I'm not Masai, just my opinion. Hate it or love it. Yeah, he's welcome to have that. Trevor, listen, you know, I get it. You think he's crazy for saying that, but it's worth looking at and thinking about it. He gave me a good question and I answered it. And you know, it is what it is. He's saying, FYI, I'm smoking the highest of high grades. He's getting a dunk for that. He's getting a dunk for that. It's like easy smoking the best stuff. In some ways, I can't follow them. I wouldn't be like other people saying, oh, you must be smoking some stuff. No, because I'm that kind of guy too. And in some ways, you know, smoking can be very inspiring. Let's just put it that way. And, well, you're getting another dunk. Slug DZ, that's your 5th dunk of the year. You're at 15, my guy. Because he's replied to him, I'm smoking the highest of high grades. I love that so much. Stargate saying, Wemby actually does guard his man and does recover very well. I've seen him pick up guys full court already, so he is the exception. He's actually a very good one-on-one defender. He can be included. Yeah, he's a good point of attack defender, and he gets steals. And in some ways, you put him at the top of the key, not even down in the paint. He's still an effective defender because he disrupts all kinds of passes around the horn. And his length is so crazy. Like, he can easily steal stuff. People don't understand just how much longer he is when they first play him, and they try and do a regular pass that would get by guys, and it doesn't get past him because of that extra wingspan. So he gets a ton of steals along with those blocks. That's right. Stargate saying, oh, snap, I forgot OG on my list. How could I? Yeah, how could you? How could you? Oh, maybe because he's a Knick now? That may be why. That may be why. Trevor's saying, yes, they do that yesterday on NBA TV. Okay. Wayne's saying, morning, Raptor Freaks. Speaking of possible trades, who do we trade to get Giannis? I will start and suggest hypothetically Brandon Ingram leads the list. Yeah, I'm not doing this either. I'm putting him in the same category as, like, I've said this recently on my stream about Giannis. I feel like he's going the direction of Kevin Durant. He's going to be a head case. He's going to be more of a prima donna. He's going to get in the way of winning more than he's going to add to winning. I really do believe that. I think that in some ways, Giannis gets in the way of himself, much like Durant is late in his career. And I don't want a player like that because in some ways they're focal and so important, but they're malcontents. They're not happy. They pout. And if they're not doing things, if things aren't going exactly right for them, they will tune out and they won't be good for the team energy. So Giannis is actually on my no trade to come to the Toronto list at this point, because I feel like in some ways the part of the reason why the Bucks have been so bad the last couple of years is because on the down low, Giannis has been the GM, kind of like LeBron did a couple of years ago for the Lakers. And the really poor decisions have been made for the front office with the Bucks. Pretty much since they got bounced in the first round by Miami. They've made horrible decisions by the front office, one after another, in the last few years. I don't want Giannis on my team either. I don't want Kevin Durant. I don't want Giannis in Antetokounmpo either. So I don't even want to start with this. I mean, Brandon Ingram may be the first person that I would say if we're thinking about this. But honestly, Brandon Ingram's a less of a head case than Giannis at this point to me. Brandon Ingram is more of a team guy than a guy that won't make waves and fit. And probably you can give us a lot of the things that Giannis would give us, not some of the defensive stuff. but give us some of the offensive stuff that we get from Giannis without the headaches. Let's just put it that way. Maybe Antetokounmpo would come here and very much stay loyal and listen to Masai and just like go along with whatever's going on here. But he's been disruptive to the Bucks on franchise on the down low. I know he has. Because he's the leader of the head, and he's been very open and honest about being discontented at different times. We don't need somebody like that on our team. We really, really don't. In some ways, Giannis's energy is like Vince Carter's energy before he left Toronto. And I don't want that energy on my team at this point. Fiercely saying, I enjoy watching the Pistons-Knicks game yesterday. Happy OG has been recognized and hyped by Reggie Miller, but hate his team. I'm rooting for Dennis in Detroit. Yeah, I love it. There's an article out about the Unks on the Detroit Pistons, talking about Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, and Tim Hardaway Jr. And once again, I brought this up before the playoffs started. Don't sleep on the Pistons. They actually have some vets on their team that have a lot of experience, and they are a lot more well-rounded with youth and experience on their team. You know, Cade Cunningham's coming to his own. He's being this franchise superstar for them, but people like Jalen Duren does his part, being big and young. But then you got the wiliness of an old vet like Tobias Harris and Tim Hardaway Jr. on that team helping a lot. And Dennis Schroeder helps them win too. So, yeah, I'm totally rooting for Detroit. And I like the fact that they're only down 2-1 right now. And, well, even it out in your second game in Detroit. You guys almost won last night. It was very, very close. Speaking of playoff games, let's go ahead and look at the refs for tonight. I've looked at the refs, and I can tell you who favors what. Boston at Orlando, game 3 is tonight. Boston will play the Magic in Orlando. All three of the refs favor the Celtics. It's David Guthrie, Courtney Kirkland, and Trey Maddox. And the alternate is Jason Goldenberg. Indiana at Milwaukee, game 3 in Indiana. And Milwaukee, switching sides. The only ref that favors the Pacers is Mark Davis, the crew chief. He favors Pacers and Siakam. Ed Malloy and Justin Van Dyne are the other two refs. They favor the Bucks. So there is a bit of a favoritism for the home team, Bucks, tonight in the Pacers-Bucks games. The last game of the night is the Lakers at Minnesota in game 3. Tony Brothers is the crew chief. He's usually against LeBron, but he does favor the Lakers in this matchup. Mark Lindsay also favors the Laker and as the second ref. And the third ref is Gianmitas Petraeus, and he favors the Timberwolves. So we got 2 favoring the Lakers and 1 favors the Timberwolves historically for the late game. Tony Brothers may be going against LeBron James anyway. And the replay center will be Carl Lane and Jason Goebel. So a little look at the refs for tonight. Heavy favoring the Boston Celtics once again. And favoring Milwaukee 2 out of 3 and favoring the Lakers 2 out of 3. As far as the refs right there. Yeah. Seymour saying getting Giannis would be insane. A major power shift for sure. I don't think so. I think we're going to get the major power shift this year from Brandon anyway. Like, seriously, it's going to be very huge shift. Seriously, it's going to be, people are poo-pooing it. They don't even actually think about this the right way. So first of all, they forget about who Brandon is because he's been hurt a lot in the last couple of years. Brandon gets fully healed and he's in a good place and he can play most of the season next year. He's going to be dominating for us in certain ways. Add to it the growth of the young players in the core of our team, all getting better individually and adding up to more. We're going to be a badass team next year. And we don't need Giannis to get this power shift. We're going to get this power shift from Brandon and young players like Jacoby Walter, Jamal Shed, Oshai Baji, and Grady Dick, Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly. These are all guys that can elevate their games to another level, and they will because they're mostly under 25. And Brandon Ingram's going to be a huge, huge, huge add-on that people are poo-pooing and disregarding and ignoring. And they, honestly, if we were a different team in this league, the NBA and the media should be going crazy about this shit and over talking about the Raptors did this. I mean, if this was the Miami Heat and they made this move and added Brandon Ingram without adding him this season and seeing him play yet, they would have been overhyping this shit so crazy. Think about that. In some ways, that we're not getting the just due for the possibilities of the upswing and the uptick in our wins that we're going to get from adding Brandon Ingram this season. They're going to see it in reality when it comes next year. Right there. Yeah, Randolph's here with his blessings. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Today is a perfect day to lift someone's spirit by doing, saying, or offering them something encouraging and heartwarming. That's awesome, man. I love that, Randolph. In some ways, in times of trouble, the best thing to do is like get out of yourself and stop worrying about yourself. Go out and be selfless and do something for somebody else, and it will help you feel better. And in some ways, you're fighting the evil and the bad in the world because you're doing something good and putting light in the world. That's a beautiful thing. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freaks families. That's right. It's Friday. TGIF. Get out there and do a good deed for somebody. There you go. Seymour saying, thank you, Randolph. I'm on it 100%. There you go. You've encouraged Seymour, and he's going to go do your bidding. That's right. I'm going to buy a homeless some food today. There you go. You go. This is something I would do quite often downtown. I didn't like giving money to homeless people, but I would definitely feed people. And usually in my neighborhoods, I would have one homeless person that I'd especially dote on. I've done this since I lived in Florida. There was a homeless guy that used to stand on a certain corner in Tallahassee, and I would drop by and give him stuff from my truck every single time, whether it was a new shirt, whether it was some food that I had from leftovers from eating at my parents' house. There'd be all kinds of different things I give this guy. One time I picked him up and brought him to Zaxby's, which is a chicken restaurant down in the States. And I came into the restaurant and the manager said, he can't come in here. And I said, yeah, he is, because he's with me and we're coming in to eat. And they let him come in, and we sat down, we had a dinner. And this guy told me this amazing story about his life and how he ended up where he is on the streets of Tallahassee like this. He's a good person. There's nothing wrong with him. He's not a criminal. And in some ways, it was just nice to have a sit down with a lunch with somebody who's like not judging him and just listening to him and just giving him a chance to talk to him, talk about his life, and somebody listening, looking at it as a human being, not just somebody who stands on the side of the street with a sign saying, please help me. You know, that's something that I've always tried to do in every neighborhood that I've lived in. I don't have anybody in my neighborhood that's homeless near here because I'm out in the woods now. But if I was still down in Kensington or different areas of town, there was usually somebody I'd say, yeah, let's go get a slice of pizza. But I wouldn't usually give them money. I'd usually feed them, just like what Seymour's saying. Yeah. G saying, oh, I know it's anonymous, but imagine being that person saying it's the worst organization and being traded there. And you know it, you said it. That is funny on the download, privately and secretly. You know, some of those players may be like looking for their exit right away. If that happens, G, they're going to try and figure it out. Yeah. Or now you're playing with your most overrated player. Yeah, that happens too. You know, it's fun stuff when there's rivals that end up being on the same team together. You think about Chris Paul being on the Warriors that season. That was funny. Of course, when Dennis showed up on our team, him and OG had some stuff they had to clear up. Yeah, this kind of stuff happens. That's right. Seymour's laughing. Kaloy saying dunk for Seymour. All right, we'll give Seymour a dunk. I like that. We'll give Seymour Pape a dunk. Holding it down for us in Alberta. Let's see, he's at 39 now. 39 on the dunk charts. All right, let's see. It's the least I can do. There you go. She's saying Pascal remains professional, enduring, and a great player. Would love to see him win another chip. I see there's a lot of sentiment here that we love Siakam and we can get behind a Pacers championship. So Pacers Nation, if you came here because you saw Siakam on our page, well, and you watched the stream, well, know that Raptors Nation roots for you guys by proxy because you guys got the great Raptor of all time, Siakam. He's one of my Mount Rushmore guys as far as greatest Raptors of all time. He's one of my top 4. He is definitely, yeah. Stargate saying Giannis is the only player I would even remotely entertain a trade to get at this point. As long as we don't give up Scotty, Jamal, or Jacoby, everyone else I would entertain. Yeah, see, I won't even do that. I'm telling you, I can see through it. Giannis is more of a problem on the download than a help. And I think, once again, he's the kind of player that'll get in the way of a championship before he'll actually help a championship at this point. And it's not even like, it's just sad because in some ways he has all the right intentions and stuff like that, but he doesn't even totally understand how he gets in the way. He really doesn't. And in some ways it's partly the way he thinks. In some ways, Giannis Antetokounmpo is a big kid. He isn't totally like matured in certain areas. And that is the problem right there. There's a blind spot of self-awareness that he is not aware of right now. And in some ways, I don't know if he'll ever figure it out. Honestly, I don't know if he'll ever figure it out. Trevor's saying classic card. Yeah, we got to do that very soon. And we will. We will definitely do the classic card very soon. Smith saying that 2019 team is an amazing memory to be sure. However, I really want another chip badly. It'll come. We're going to get another one. I believe in Masai when he says we're going to win again. The city's too good. Yeah, I believe it. And Scotty is hell bent on this shit. I'm telling you right now. And that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Scotty, to build a team around, to get a championship, I build around Scotty. I build it around Scotty. He's a much better team player than Giannis in some ways. Seriously, he is more conducive to make the players on his team better than Giannis is. In some ways, it's shown by some of the problems they're having with the Bucks with not other players getting involved and doing things to help them. And he's having to do too much, or him and Lillard are trying to do too much. And they're not getting anything from Brook Lopez or other people. I'm just saying he's not the same kind of conduit that Scotty is. And Scotty is a more of a championship piece at this point in his career than Giannis. Some people may think I'm crazy for saying that, but I really truly believe this. I really, really do. Kaloy saying, I hate all this trade talk. Can we have a moment to see what we have first? Let's add to the lineup. Not mess with it. I am completely 100% with Carlo JS on this. We have not even seen Brandon Ingram show up and play for us. We should not be making decisions or trade talk like this, Raptors Digest kind of bullshit. I'm completely with that. And in some ways, well, we're humoring ourselves a little bit with this kind of talk today, but we know that normally this is shit we just do not do on this channel. And in some ways, we're just doing it a little bit today. And that's fine. As long as we're not doing this every day, I might get upset if we start bringing trade ideas up every single day. But it's okay to do every once in a while. Stargate said, I wouldn't trade RJ for anyone as well, with only one exception. And that's Giannis. So you trade RJ for Giannis and Antetokounmpo. Okay. Smooth saying, I'm not referring to the Raptor Freak community. I'm referring to the Raptors community at large. Worshipping a team like we will never see another one. It's sickening, personally. Talking about the championship, well, in some ways, I don't know how to put it this way. Reggie, it's not that we worship it. We're really happy that it happened. And it's amazing, beautiful, badass thing. You know, a lot of teams are like this. Like the Nuggets have that one championship. They're going to feel like that year, oh my gosh, that year. You know, it's just that way. It's just that way. I would, I don't know. I think that I get what you're trying to say, but I don't think it's exactly worded right. I think that in some ways the championship brought a lot of new fans that just don't understand the depth of how hard it is to win a championship. And they feel like that standard should be repeated every year, which is not realistic in any kind of way. And I also feel like they don't totally understand all the work that was put into and time that was put into to get the culmination of the 2019 championship. That shit started in 2013. It didn't start like the year of. And that's something that a lot of the newer fans that came along after the championship just do not get. That the roots and the foundation to build up to our championship started years and years before. And it was something that we had to keep trying and failing to get to finally to get to it. And there's going to be a certain level of that trying and failing still to get to the second one. But the path is there, and I see it. I can see how it could happen realistically with the nucleus that we're rebuilding with right now. So Kareem saying, Cade and Mobley earned their stripes this season. Scotty next year going for All-NBA second team. He will regain his dominance for his draft class. Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that. But that will come with team winning. That's the only way it comes. Cade is getting more attention now because he went from the worst team in the league to a playoff team. So he's getting more shine. Scotty would get the same thing. They go from a 30-win season to a 50-win season next year. Scotty's going to get way more attention. Way more attention in that case. Yeah. And the same thing for Evan Mobley. His team's one of the top teams in the league. Of course, he's going to get more attention right now for sure. Nako's saying Scotty, IQ, and Yak have to be on the team if we trade for Giannis. That's a win the trade chip. The chip trade. I seriously don't see it. I don't know. Once again, I don't even feel like we need Giannis because we got Arish coming up. Seriously. In some ways, he's got the same body as Giannis Antetokounmpo. And in some ways, I could see Ulrich Shamshay surpassing Giannis in certain ways. Not totally all of it, but there may be some things that Shamshay does that are actually better than Giannis. As crazy as that sounds. So in some ways, once again, like Kaloy's saying, let's see what we've got already and not really try and add or change things too quickly. That's what the Knicks do. They screw up because they do that, like Hartenstein and Cat and all this bullshit. But the Raptors have a good nucleus and the vibes are good and everybody gets along. That is something you got to worry about also when you make big trades for big players like Morant or Antetokounmpo, is that they cause waves in the pool as far as like rock the boat, as far as, all of a sudden Giannis is here and now he's going to be part of the leadership and like in some ways he's important. How does that work with Scotty? How does that work with the guys that have been here already and how they fit? Brandon Ingram's a low-key dude, a very selfless, egoless dude. And in some ways, that's why a talent of his nature can fit in with our guys, and he has already. He's already fit in with them as far as socially and culturally with the team because he's been on the team for half a year now, even though he didn't play. We'll have to see how he fits on the court. But, I'm going to take the educated scouting opinions of Ujiri and Bobby Webster as far as fit with the roster. They wouldn't go through the trouble of doing what they did to get Brandon Ingram if they didn't think this would fit. But Bobby was saying in his interview, we just have to make sure, we'll have to see for sure that Brandon does actually fit on the court playing with everybody. But we think he will. We think he will. That's our educated opinion. So Kaloy saying, my wish list is a stout, serviceable 6'7" to 6'9" wing to guard the best wings, and then a backup like big, like Yak Light. Well, I mean, that's going to be Jacoby. Jacoby's and Oshai as both of those kind of guys. I mean, I don't know. Maybe a 6'9" guy, sure. A little bit of a power forward size more. But the strong, stout defenders, Oshai Baji, Jacoby Walter, these guys are like that with very strong arms, very long arms, and very quick like that. Kareem saying, I would only take Giannis if he was a free agent. He would take a discount because he likes Masai, but never trade all of our assets for a person who has a fear of ladders. All right, you're getting a dunk. It's been a little while since Kareem made a really funny joke, and he did. I know I didn't laugh, but that's good. I like the ladder reference. It's really good. 63 on the chart, man. You're up there, man. You're up there. Yeah, this is all. I agree with all this, especially the ladder fear. That's right. Stargate saying, Lex, I agree with your perspective on Giannis. However, you have to consider the Masai effect. Masai won't have it. I think Masai is the one exec in the league he wouldn't dare cross. Now, this is a good point by Stargate, that in some ways the respect and the love for Masai Ujiri may be different than the average NBA executive in a front office. Yeah, I mean, you know what? You're right. In some ways, he would listen to Masai, I'm probably pretty sure, pretty intently. I don't know. We got to go back to also remember Giannis did How Hungry Are You with Serge Ibaka when Serge played for the Bucks. He asked him straight up. He said, will you ever play for the Toronto Raptors in your career? And Giannis didn't want to answer it either way because he's like, I don't want to do this because you realize I'm getting paid and I have to feed my children. And you're making me answer this. I can't answer this either way because I don't want to ruin my opportunities in the future, but I also don't want to piss off the team that I play for already right now. But he wouldn't answer this. And he took the cricket tea and he drank it. He drank it. He would say, I don't think he actually said outright, I will never play for the Raptors. He could have done that and avoided the cricket tea. So he's been asked this on thing, but he's also been very outspoken about staying a Buck his whole entire career, that he likes the idea of that. He does. In some ways, he's not trying to get out of Milwaukee. He may be trying to control the situation there and trying to make it more towards a second championship for him. But I don't think he's overall trying to get out of Milwaukee. I think he really does have loyalty to that franchise. He may fire everybody around him and still have the power and stay there because of the owners, but he's trying to do it there. That's what I think. Let's see what else is going on here. G saying, when I saw Evan win Defensive Player of the Year, I admit I was a bit salty, but I think this will be a big motivator for Scott. Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, I know Scotty in some ways is engaging himself against other people, but when he sees stuff like this, I'm sure he thinks about himself. He's like, man, I wish I was winning Defensive Player of the Year this year. That's the one I really want to win. Evan Mobley's got it now. Yeah, it's a good carrot to put in front of the person to motivate them and going forward. That's for sure. That is for sure. Kareem saying coaching matters. Detroit was going through a coaching carousel. Shit, they were still playing coaches who are not even coaching. Glad to see them ball out. I'm also rooting for Dennis. Yeah, JB Bickerstaff in some ways was cast aside by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Kenny Atkinson came in and he just hit the ground running. But in some ways, JB landed on his feet by getting in Detroit, and he's had such good success. That's crazy. In some ways, he was a cast off and fired by the team, and that his team's doing so well. But he doesn't feel bad because he's having his own success in Detroit since then, and he is one of the top finalists for Coach of the Year still with Kenny Atkinson. So that's a pretty good bounce back by Bickerstaff, honestly, because some people may have gotten fired from that job, but then to jump right in from the worst team in the league and put in them playoffs, that looks really good. That looks really, really good right there. Wayne saying, okay, that was easy. I agree with you on Giannis. However, Giannis ain't no Kawhi, but the same could be said him before we made a man out of him. Now, I would say this: if Giannis did come here for some reason and Masai decided, I would get behind it. I would sell it. I wouldn't be against it. I just don't feel like it's the right thing now. It may have been worked out better like before Milwaukee won their championship when we were trying to do it in the Giannis sweepstakes. Then that would have worked out better probably. But at this point, we've gone in a direction down a road with Scotty as our focal player, and I don't want to rock that boat. Seriously, in some ways, Scotty being the franchise face of the league, of the team, is important right now. And if Giannis came here, he'd screw that up. Brandon can fly a radar next to him and not really be focused on. Scotty will still get focused. RJ, same thing. And that's important. These guys are very high level, all-star kind of players, and they can still play next to Scotty and not steal the spotlight from him. And that's important to a degree for team health and leadership. Giannis comes in there. He's trying to be the top dog. Scotty is really the top dog, and he's the one who's been kind of guiding the guys, and everybody's okay with him being the leader right now that's on the team. That's where things get a little screwed up. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's where things get a little screwed up. If Giannis tries to pull his weight and out top dog Scotty, that could be a problem. And I'm Scotty's our guy. We're in the basket with Scott going forward, and he's fully invested. And in some ways, I'm not stabbing Scott in the back as an organization by bringing in another superstar player who's going to be kind of power fighting him for who is the franchise face on the team. RJ's fine with his role. Brandon's fine with his role. IQ is fine with his role. And they all understand. And the thing that I like about it is Scotty is an unselfish face of the franchise, and he doesn't have to feast to be good. He can feed everybody else. So it's a very special situation. In some ways, Giannis would have to be way more high usage than Scotty, and that does not lead to the team game that we're going to build with Darko and Scotty. That's what I'm saying right there. Let's see. Stargate saying, how much you want to bet Tony Brothers tease up LeBron tonight? Yeah, I could see that. They're old enemies. There is a little bit of a weird history with LeBron James and Tony Brothers. And, well, we'll see it tonight. We'll see it tonight in the Lakers game. Trevor's saying, getting Giannis going to be a disaster for our young players. Why are we always trying to break this team up? We don't even know what we have with Scotty, RJ, IQ, Yak, and Ingram playing together. I'm going to give Trevor a dunk. He's saying something similar to what some people said already, but he's reinforcing a sentiment that I completely agree with. Once again, Raptors fans want quick and easy answers and fixes, and that's not the way the NBA works. You got to do things like the Denver Nuggets, how they built up to their championship. You got to do things like we did to build up to our first championships. Trevor J, you're at 72 on the dunk list. 72, man. You're up there, Trevor. You got a lot of dunks this year. You're actually higher than Kareem. It's amazing. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying. Fiercey's giving me the cutoff. W Stream fam. 10:45. I've still got over 20 minutes to get to 2 hours. I'm going to try and figure this out and get it done. I think I've done most everything. I got to do a classic card. Wayne saying, Trevor, all of your mentionables are correct, except expect Ingram, not blowing up anything to move him, but I wouldn't do it. Talent for talent, have to think about it. Well, once again, we haven't even seen Brandon play in the game yet, and we got to see that first. Now, if it's weird and it doesn't work, I'm sure Bobby's got a plan. I'm sure he does. And it's not like Brandon Ingram's not easy to probably move. I'll bet you can and get him moved to somebody else if the doesn't work. I don't think that's the case, though. I think he's going to work really, really well. And I don't expect him to be kind of like a weird like fit. I don't expect that at all. Kareem saying, if DeMar and Lowry go up in the rafters together, would you be open for Fred and Pascal to do the same? I know it doesn't have to be the same ring, but how cool would that be? Yeah, I don't know if you do that. I think that it's such a special relationship, Lowry and DeRozan, that they would be all about doing it together like that. But I don't know if Fred and Pascal are that close to do it that way. In some ways, it's like you're taking away a special moment for one individual and putting them together. It's cheaping in it. Now, Kyle and DeMar, it fits and it makes sense because that's just the bromance. They are so tight. They are like brothers, and it would be special. It'd be special in some ways, and it wouldn't take away from either one of them in some ways. But some people would make the argument, no, they should get their own ceremonies each, especially. You know, I'm okay with that either one. If they wanted to agree to doing their ceremonies together, that'd be fine. But if they wanted their own special individual ceremonies also, that would be great too. So I don't see it with Fred and Pascal for sure. I see it possibly with DeMar and Kyle, but in some ways, they shouldn't do it that way. They should give them each their own night is kind of the way I'm with it. Yeah. Not just saying, I really like Ulrich. So that's some lofty goals, though. Well, I'm going to say this, Nako, and knowing Giannis's early career, Ulrich is exactly like Giannis at his age. This is the thing. Giannis Antetokounmpo was that raw and that unpolished when he was that age, the same age as Shamshe right now. And Shamshe has got a couple more years before he would actually be coming in the league if he had gone to college. I mean, he's 20 years old right now. And, where he's going to be at 22 is going to be very interesting the next couple of years of development. There's a lot of flashes that he has good hands on offense. There's a lot of flashes that he has some offensive talent that is to be seen. He's got really good passing chops. So the signs of what Shamshe could be defensively are obviously there. He has a defensive impact, but there's a lot of offensive gold to be mined and figured out in the next couple of years of development for Ulrich Shamshe. He has the same body as Giannis, the same height, same wingspan, same physical traits and aptitudes in some ways. That's why I say that this is possible, because he has the groundwork. He has the body and the athleticism to be like Giannis. And that's that, it's a lofty. Yeah. Is it going to be possible? Sure. Will it happen? Maybe. We don't know for sure. But I mean, I'm not going to go against master scout, great scout, Hall of Fame scout, Masai Ujiri, and what he sees in Shamshe and what he thinks he can be. He thinks he's going to get it no matter what. I think that's actually what he said in the end of season interview was with Shamshe. It's just a matter of time. He's going to be there. That's what he basically said. It's not a matter of if, it's just when is it going to happen? And it's going to happen at some point. It's going to happen. Stargate saying, I agree. Let's see what this team as constructed can do first before any rash decisions are made. Health, and more health will be main key next season. I agree wholeheartedly with Stargate on that one. Health is so key. And once again, Raptors fans, this summer, our summer's pretty much already figured out other than the draft and maybe minor free agency moves. There's not going to be any trades. We're not going to get a huge free agent like star. So honestly, we kind of already know what our team is next year, Raptors fans. So just chill out and let us get to the next season and try them out before y'all start trading everybody in the ESPN trade machine. Raptors Digest is a great place for Raptors Nation that enjoys trade speculation. Go watch Ben and his trade speculation. That's not what we do here. Exactly. That's right. Jill's here, 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, morning freaks, all as well. Drink water. All right, I'll drink some water. I'll do that. Yeah, it's just after 11, so I'm right there. Let's see. Stargate saying, I personally think Detroit is a better team than the Knicks. Hopefully he vets like Dennis, Beasley, and Hardaway Jr. can support the young guys. Yeah, Malik Beasley doesn't want to be called one of the unks. He's like, I'm not old enough to be one of the unks. Tobias and Tim Hardaway Jr., they're unks because that's what they call them, the unks. And apparently on the team planes, the Pistons fly around, people like Thompson and Duran are picking all the music, and they're picking old school music. Like they pick old head music. Like they'll pick old 60s R&B, like old 90s R&B and stuff like that. And they're trying to wow the old heads on their team, like Tobias Harris, with their musical knowledge. And they're going way back and picking like old classics, Jalen Duran and Asur Thompson, right? So, and apparently Tobias Harris can dance. Like they were like, whoa, Tobias Harris, a really good dancer. So that's some of the stuff I read about the Pistons and their vibes right now and what's going on with them. Tobias Harris is a guy who, he got a lot of crap in Philadelphia for his contract, and just like the Sixers nation was so mean to him in some ways. So I'm really kind of happy for Tobias and what's happening with his second stint on the Pistons right now and how well he's doing and the success they're getting. It must be very rewarding to him coming from a dumpster fire like Philadelphia and all the bullshit he went through as a Sixer to be on a Pistons team and be on a healthy team with good things going on and like good stuff. No big dummy around him, Joel Embiid, stuff like that. Jill saying, dunk, there's room for everyone. Scotty will be fine with his role. If and when Ingram comes through, sometimes RJ leads, sometimes quickly leads, sometimes Lawson, Pirtle, Temple, Peace. Yeah, it really has to do with the matchup and who's we're playing that night and what the defense might want with Keon. Like they make Keon Grady on one night, and Grady absolutely cannot be played but Jacoby is wide open because they're not guarding people like Jacoby in certain ways. So Jacoby's going to get more shots and score more. It really may be like defensive attitudes from the other team will shape which weapon we go to. They may play very heavy on Brandon Ingram some nights and absolutely try and shut him down. Well, we should be going to RJ and Emmanuel or Scotty Moore. That's just we gotta go the way that they show us that something on their defense, and we say, well, this is how we solve it, and we go with this offensive player because he has this kind of stuff, and y'all are weak on this, trying to guard this. RJ going the basket strong, Jakob push shots, Jakob hub at the top of the paint, and pass through, go through Jakob pick up rolls. Emmanuel quickly going to do this. Jacoby does this, Grady does that. I'm just saying the defense will predicate half of what the Raptors offense does next year. And that's the flexibility and the awesomeness of the Raptors team and the options we got. So Reggie's saying the second round is when the Knicks will get a true challenge. They're likely to be out, actually. I don't know if they're going to make it past this round. Seriously. Watch. Seriously. Detroit has a chance. They're showing some things right now against them. And in some ways, that game being so close last night, that wasn't good for the Knicks in some ways. It's not good. Knicks Nation needs to be prepared. Yeah. Were they out in the streets again last night celebrating because they won a game on the road against Detroit? Maybe. Wayne saying, haven't watched any games over 2 days. What should I be looking forward to this weekend? Looking forward to seeing Pascal, Fred, and Norman on the court. There you go. Watching our former Raptors play for new teams and play in the playoffs and hopefully excel and strive and achieve and have success. That's what you should be watching for. Stargate saying, you have to admit, RJ, IQ, Yak, BI3 is a heck of a starting five. I admit that for sure. I really agree with this. And that's why I want to see it before we make any decisions. Not only do we not see Ingram yet, we really haven't seen enough of barbecue altogether because of health. I mean, still, the season, there wasn't really good long stretches where RJ, Scotty, and Emmanuel all played together on the court. And so in some ways, there's a lot of that still that has to happen before we figure it out. Yeah. Let's see. Kaloy saying, Lex, a heads up. Discord is going public soon. We may see a shift. Discord soon. We may see a shiftification. What is that? A shiftification. I've never heard that word before. Either way, I don't want to be scared of anything or worry about anything, Kaloy. I don't care. I mean, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. We got to do what we got to do. So I just found it. If things turn into shit, well, I don't know. Let's not just think that first. And I haven't seen this news. Is this something totally new that just came out or something like that? I don't know. Either way, I have to learn about it before I react to it. I'm not going to just fearfully say, oh, this is a problem, Kaloy. So I don't know. I don't even know anything about this story. So I'm not going to opinion-wise about it. Trevor's saying Pistons are going to learn the hard lessons, been in the playoffs, just like the Raptors for years. They just have to know how to win. They're going to go to the pin and agony and defect. I don't necessarily agree with this, Trevor. They have players on this team that have gone through the lessons of the playoffs. That's why I keep saying they have vets that have been through it. Tobias Harris, he was on that court when Kawhi hit that shot. So it's like these guys have playoff misery and steps that they've gone through. Wasn't Tim Hardaway Jr. on Dallas Mavericks for years and played the playoffs a whole bunch of times? So the experience is there. Don't act like these guys are newbies. They've never been in the playoffs. Malik Beasley, he's been in the playoffs. Even Dennis Schroeder has been in the playoffs extensively. So I can't get behind this, Trevor. In some ways, I would say this about teams like Oklahoma City or some other teams that are more younger, but there's vets on Detroit that have been in playoff wars. And you can't say this exactly. Maybe Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren need to have the lessons. But if those vets can cover it up and they can coast on their talent, they can get real far. I mean, Siakam, Fred VanVleet, they had lessons with the early years with DeMar, but they got real far with Kawhi all of a sudden. So I can't just say that. Yeah. Jill's saying next season I really want to beat the Pistons, Timberwolves, and Suggs. Okay. I want to win all games. I mean, there's no specific teams or anything. Like, I get it. Some people have grudges against the certain teams because they've beaten us and stuff like that. I'm not really doing that. I always want to beat the Celtics, obviously, the Sixers. I want to win every game. I don't even understand why we have to say this. Stargate saying Cleveland, Boston, the Lakers are the teams I really want to beat. Yeah. I mean, we owe some stuff to a couple teams. Like the Bulls and the Blazers in particular are two teams we should not have been losing to so much the last 2 years. And I really want to beat those two teams coming up. But I mean, this is silly. We should be just like, we want to win every game. and try and have our best effort and try and win no matter who it is. In some ways, I don't know why she's putting Timberwolves in there. That doesn't really make any sense. And we beat the hell out of Orlando. I don't even know why you're putting Suggs on there. We beat Orlando this year. So I don't know why you're putting Orlando on there. She's saying no grudge. Pistons was at the bottom. Now they're not. No negative. I don't get it. Like, I mean, there's nothing special about the Pistons versus the Raptors. There may have been a little bit when Casey was their coach, but there really isn't. There really isn't. And it's not like the Pistons have absolutely kicked our ass every single year. No, it's been back and forth. They swept us for a year. We swept them for a year. Last year, we lost to them when they were the worst team in the league, and I hated that. There were a couple of games this year when we played the Pistons where I felt like we probably should have beat them. But that was more about us and our injuries and being in a place with our rebuild where we're still coming up. And I fully expect us to compete with all the teams in the league at a very high level next year. And hopefully we will be able to beat all of the 29 other teams. That's the way I kind of look at it. All right, let's do the classic card. That's the classic card. I mean, Sixers are the grudge match. The Celtics are the grudge match. The Knicks are a grudge match. It's our division rivals. It's not Western teams. It's not other teams than the ones there. All right, this is a card we've already done. I don't want to do a duplicate today. We've had a couple duplicates recently. This is weird, man. All right, we'll do this one. All right, we'll do this one. I have a perfect clue for this. All right, guys, here's the classic card of the day. Who is the classic card? Full name answer, please. It's a little bit difficult. You should be able to see it. It's really hard, actually, to see, honestly. This is a weird card, man. Like, I might have to give you guys the clue of the name. But can you see him? He's, like, far off. It's really hard to see in some ways. Rex Chapman. That's not a bad guess. Fuck the Celtics and the Cadavers. I'm with you on that. Those are two teams I'm not really like. He's on the Bullets, this player, just so you know. He's on the Washington Bullets. So that shows you how long ago this is. And it's not the Wizards. It's not Rex Chapman, but it's not a bad guess. That's a pretty good guess, Stargate. What I want to say about this player, his namesake wrote, you know what? I might as well just give you guys this clue right here. His namesake, the person, he has the same name, and this will give it away if you know this right here. Tom Gugliotta is a great guess, Smooth. It's not right, but it's not right. The namesake of this player wrote the song American Pie. If you know that, answer that trivia. You know the name of this person. They have the exact same name as the singer who wrote American Pie. Don't Google that. Tom Legler? No. Tim Legler? No. These are good guesses, though. These are all white guys who played for the Bullets. That they're good guesses. But this guy has this. Don McLean. That's right. Slug Deezy got it. Don McLean sang, My Miss American Pie strode the Chevy to the levee, and the levee was dry. And good old boys were drinking whiskey and wine, saying, This will be the day that I die. This will be the day that I die. Don McLean. Yeah, he sang American Pie, the singer. But this is Don McLean, the basketball player. Yeah. Donald James McLean, UCLA. You got it right there. Boom goes the dynamite, Smooth. Yes, UCLA. And at this time, he had been on the Wizard or the Bullets for a little while. Tom Tolbert? No. Slug Deezy. You're going to get 200 points for this one. Slug Deezy. That's a pretty tough one. American Pie's Don McLean. That's crazy. I figure that's the best clue for that one is like, oh, yeah, it's the same guy who's saying American Pie. Don McLean. Yeah. All right, there we go. Boom goes the dynamite. Slug Deezy, 200 points added to his Raptor Freak trivia score. Boom goes the dynamite. All right, let me see. What else do I got? I got some other stuff I got to do still with the tabs. Let me just check in with different things. You guys want to talk more about the player poll from The Athletic? You just let me know. Let's see. John Moran is on crutches. Status is uncertain after his fall. Crazy. All right, let's see what's going on in Blue Skies. Let's see if there's anything interesting that has to do with the Raptors. Blake Murphy's on hockey, baseball, and football at this point. He is ignoring basketball at this point. Josh Lewenberg is comparing the Pistons to the old bad boy Pistons. That he's like he likes the thing going on. Ben Wallace and Richard Hamilton were sitting at courtside last night, just so y'all know, at that game. Yeah, there's nothing that interesting on Blue Skies. Let's see what Raptors Reddit is talking about this morning. Let's see if they've got anything interesting. Their dream is that we pick first in the draft. They want us to get the number 1 pick. Kyle Lowry buzzer beater against Miami Heat in game 1 of the 2016 second round of the playoffs. They're reliving that on here. This guy, the collector part 2, the guy who had all the jerseys that was on that one Raptors thing this year. They come back and hanging out with him on here. They're asking about our thoughts on Asa Newell. If we land the 7th to 10th pick, drafting Asa Newell, I'm okay with that. He's pretty good, although I'd prefer Queen or Malawach, you know. Let's see what else is here. Is there anything interesting? That's about it there. All right, let's we still have an opening in the WNBA Fantasy League. If somebody wants to join the WNBA Fantasy League, reach out to me and let me know, and we can add you to the league. We have 1 spot open. Happy birthday to Donald Whiteside, former Raptor, and also happy 50th birthday to Michael Yogi Stewart. I don't know if you guys know who Yogi Stewart is. He was a power forward for the Raptors around Vince era, and he's 50 years old today. So happy birthday to Michael Stewart, formerly of the Sacramento Kings, former Raptor. His nickname was Yogi. You guys remember Yogi? Hey, boo-boo. You remember Yogi Stewart? Yeah, it's his birthday today. Happy 50th birthday to him. And let's see. Is there anything else? Discord? What are you guys doing on Discord? You live in the chat? Yeah, Jill, we're on the stream. Come on now. There's a crazy picture of Tobias Harris that Tristan posted in there. He's like yelling. I don't want to talk to Jill about what she's talking about on there. I mean, I will say this. The CBC is under attack. It's not worth it to attack the CBC right now. In some ways, it's like that energy is kind of like people that are coming after Kamala Harris about Israel when it's like that's not the point of things right now. Seriously, the CBC is so important. I have a personal connection to CBC. My grandfather worked for the CBC for 40 years, and it really was a big, big part. Yeah, but I don't know what you said, Jill. I didn't go back and look. All I'm saying is if you're mad at the CBC, stop right now. Pause. Maybe wait until after this election. Because seriously, attacking the CBC right now is just not worth it. You're asking them to be fair? Well, in my opinion, them having right-wing voices on there is being fair. Fair and balance is having voices from both sides. Even if I don't agree with that side, they still need to have a forum for that. And that's different. That is different. So I'm going to just say, I'll say this, Jill, respectfully, if you're going to put out anti-CBC stuff on my Discord server, I'm going to ask you not to do that because I'm going to argue against you on that. It's the PBS of our country. It's very, very important. It's essential. And any kind of negativity towards CBC, I'm just not. If you have a personal problem with somebody who said something on CBC, attack that person. Don't attack the entity of CBC that allows the forum for people to express themselves. If they're giving more time to people that are despicable, I don't like that either. But they got to give time to people that matter too, like indigenous voices, left-leaning voices, and all those other kind of things. And it's true. The CBC is under attack by the right wing right now. They want to get rid of it. And that is really bad because the CBC is the only pure Canadian journalism in this country at this point. Everything else that's journalism has some sort of hand in American corporatism and control. And we need to have a fair and balanced Canadian media. And the CBC represents that. And that's the only reason why I would say that. Yeah. I don't know what your comment was about then. Why did you bring that in there then, Jill? Seriously, if you're going to put that in there, I'm going to see it and I'll comment about it and I'll argue with you about it because I very passionately want to defend the CBC right now. And maybe I'm being a little bit overprotective, but your energy and what you commented on in the other channel in the Discord server, it really rubbed me the wrong way this morning. And that's all I'm saying. I've heard you say things about the CBC recently, and I feel like you're off the mark, that you're not getting what is important in this whole thing. And that's the issue right there. Tom Gugliotta was NC State. That's right. That's true. I remember that. Tom Gugliotta was actually a really good player, but his career was shortened partly because of injuries. Like, I kind of liked him on Minnesota more than Washington. Remember when he was playing with Garnett? Oh, man, that was actually a pretty good team. It was Gugliotta, Garnett, and Marbury at that time. And they had the really cool Minnesota Timberwolves jerseys, the black and green ones, right? You remember those? They were like kind of pine tree ones. They were pretty cool. All right, let me do the wrap up and get out of here. I'm right at 2 hours. Yikes. Yeah, so they said the most overrated player in the players poll this year is Tyrese Halliburton, and Pascal Siakam didn't get a single damn vote. So that's how it goes. Pascal was the most overrated player last year. You're not anymore, my guy. And I'm going to say that the Athletics player poll is overrated. How about that? The poll is overrated. And in some ways, if you really want to make it a comprehensive, legit poll, you got to ask every single player that played in the league. And then we could get a real sense of the real feeling, because you can skew the results if you ignore one team and you don't ask any players from an NBA team, the players poll, and you ask every single player on another team, you can really skew the results in different ways, Athletic, with what you're doing with your player poll. So I would just say that. In some ways, y'all are overrated yourself, you damn Athletic player poll. And the scientificness of your poll is not there. In some ways, it's kind of just frivolous shit, honestly. So, yeah, last year was Pascal was overrated. This year, it's Tyrese Halliburton, according to them. I don't know. Okay, good job, Siakam. You're not as overrated anymore. I don't know what you did. You're the same person, but for some reason, you're different now. Yeah, all right, let's just wrap it up. Y'all, once again, if you want to get a good fruit roll-up kind of item, Bob Snail is a Ukrainian product that you can buy. It's not American. And if you buy it, you're supporting Ukraine, which is absolutely a fantastic country to support in the world today, as far as things. And it's not American. So, yeah, you get the Bob the Snail. Yeah. You asked Tristan on Discord if he was in there. That's all. Let's be happy, please. Well, that's what I'm saying. In some ways, I'm feisty right now. We're in an election right now, Jill. And I'm not having any kind of like attacking the people that don't need to be attacked right now. Seriously, there's enough people to attack, Jill. You have a lot of expertise in PR and knowledge. And I just wish you'd use your forces for good. Just do that. Seriously, go after the people that really need to be after. I don't feel like going after CDC and writing them letters and stuff like that is useful right now, because they have so much bullshit they're dealing with right now already. And it's like, Jill, you don't want to add to the problems. You want to be part of the help. And as much as the CBC may have some people on there that bother you, I know there probably are people that I'd probably be just as bothered with them. You need to attack them. You don't need to attack the platform for where they're getting the ability to talk. Because in some ways, CBC may be actually putting those people on there to show that they are a fair and balanced kind of place. Because some people may be saying, well, you're not giving our people enough time. So in some ways, that may be why they're giving time for these people. I'm just trying to say that. Yeah. Okay. You do use your forces for good. Okay, good. You do not add to the problems. Okay. We'll lay off the CBC. How about that? Will you do that favor for me? My grandfather worked for them for 40 years, and they helped my family be successful as an immigrant family here in this country. I wouldn't, there's a lot of things about me that wouldn't be me if the CBC didn't exist. So forgive me for being personally protective of the CBC. And if I hear somebody bad mouthing it like you were in Discord, well, I'm going to attack you for it. That's just how it works. I'm sorry. You can bring that stuff in there. It's going to be for me to see. That's the thing. You can have those opinions. You don't have to share them with me. You don't have to share them with me. You really don't, is what I would say in some ways. I'll just warn you. It's like, I don't want to hear you bad mouthing the CBC anymore on the Discord. That's all it is. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me today. We'll do a Saturday Share the Love Club tomorrow for Andrew Jones, the coach of the 905. He's going to get his due and respect and credit for a fantastic season, even if it wasn't a winning season for the 905. It was a very good development year for the Raptors 905, and we got to give some credit to Andrew Jones. So we're going to do Andrew Jones Saturday Share the Love Club tomorrow, and I hope you'll join me tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. And happy birthday, Yogi Stewart. Once again, happy birthday to Yogi and Donald Whiteside. Let's go, Raptors. No Giannis, no Ja. Let's keep the band together that we got right now and discover what they can do before we make any moves.